on their decision on October 10th. Providing them the needed security, so very much important. So I'd like to ask all of you to go back, tell your respective partisans that the journalists are our friends. We need to give them the space to lift our voices. Thank you so very much. Let us make this democracy work for all of us. Thank you.
The President of Liberia, while you were in speech, the lead moderator for this debate, Clarence Jackson, station manager, OKF, and moderator for OK Money Lodge. Clarence will preside over this debate. While we're here, a member of the civil society organization, Adama Dexter, is tweeting and is being followed by at least 16 US congressmen women who are following this debate as well. So this means we mean business, and if something I was just telling somebody last time, our president was swimming in the Atlantic Ocean. I was told I want to protect him without vets, and then the debate came out and said, why did he do this? Well, this man is the president. Then when they captured the photo of Vladimir Putin swimming also in the Dead Sea, and then everybody played basketball in the street. Then they said, well, this is not good, this is beautiful. Then everybody said, well, I want to play basketball, but we don't want to copy the product. We don't want to copy. There are no elections in America without debate. No way. And we intentionally play some of the assets here. So if we want to compare ourselves with America, those things that promote their democracy we should adhere to them as well. Having said that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Clarence Jackson, who will moderate. As a matter of fact, it's already live on the Pure Public Radio, Beyond TV, and FM 96.1 in Monrovia and 96.9 in Sacramento, Neighbor County. And no, I don't know. Okay, they might have to tell me. Okay, so listen. Each candidate will have 3 minutes for self-introduction, beginning. And what we did was we went on X website, the way the candidates are positioned are presented, we decided to stick to it so that it can appear that we put one person, this way put another person. So it's next sitting. After that, after the serving introduction, 3 minutes, first up is the economy. After the economy, the national security, justice, rule of law, human rights, agriculture, food security, education, and cross-cutting issues, including drug addiction or fight, water and sanitation, and human rights abuses. These end for a lineup, and the candidate will have an opportunity to cross-examine one another just in case you want more clarity from anyone who is expounding their points. Clarence Jackson is over to you.
Thank you very much. Praise. For us, this is another opportunity in the democracy of our country for all of us to be a part one way or the other. And like Chris was saying, it is unthinkable that in the 21st century we are now making these kind of debates the goal of our elections. The people who say they want to be president of our country supposed to be telling us what do we expect, what should we expect from the administration as far as governance is concerned. And for me, the way I see it, the indictment you're not forced to come, but I thought it is an opportunity for you to be heard, for you to tell us, because who knows? There are different institutions that have done different assessments across the country as far as decision making is concerned, and some of the stats we've been looking at tells us that a little over 10, 35, 40% of the voting population are undecided. Who knows? Who knows? Perhaps interaction in these kinds of debates can change anybody's mind about looking your way. So it is an opportunity. So like Chris said, I'm sure we're going to start from here and then we'll move alphabetically. Candidate Appleton, Edward Appleton Jr. You will have 3 minutes to talk to us about you. Who are you, sir? 3 minutes. And Chris, who's taking that? Now look for a timekeeper. So just 1 minute. Let's get it to talk. So we want anybody to fit.
Okay, so.
Reminds me about the Duke call debate.
And you know, okay, so can the opportunity is starting at 10:35 and 10:32.
10:38.
10:38.
Should be done. 3 minutes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm so delighted to be here. Thanks to the organizers. Thanks to parents. Thanks to the members of the grassroots development movement. I want to send a shout out to the press and everyone here present, and also to the people of Liberia listening. My name is Edward Wally Appleton Jr. I'm a citizen of Liberia. I'm from Maryland County. I grew up in Monrovia. My father was Councilor E. Wally Appleton Sr. My mother was Rose Twain Cat Williams. I attended the Cathedral High School in Monrovia as part of my formative years, where I spent many years. I also attended the Lutheran Training Institute in Lofa County, where I graduated high school. I attended the CWA Junior College briefly and the University of Liberia briefly before the war, and I had the opportunity to live abroad. I have a bachelor's degree in information systems. I also pursue higher education, master's degree in public administration, and also master's degree in project management. I consider myself a business strategist. I'm also a philanthropist. As part of my life, I contribute a lot to help ordinary people. I'm deeply interested in the leadership of this country. I believe with good leadership, Liberia will be on the path to economic growth, prosperity, and development. So I'm very open to have the debate to provide our vision for transformation of how we can rebuild this country and provide for our people so that everyone can live a good quality of life. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next candidate, candidate Alan R. Brown Jr. He looks like Deputy Minister of Family. Yeah.
Yeah, you like you're clear, very.
Okay. So I'm Alan Roosevelt Brown Jr. I was born in Bonny Hills, July 24th, 1961. I grew up on an old road. I went to school on an old road at the American School ACS. When I graduated, I went to college at St. Joseph's University. I graduated with a degree in accounting. I was 20 years old at the time. I returned to life. My entire life I've been in the private sector, and this is my first time either pursuing or getting involved in public service. In 2003, when the former president, Charles Taylor, left Liberia, I came back into the country and I invested in real estate and hospitality. At the time, I was the chief executive officer of Beneficial Life Insurance Company with responsibility for Cameroon, Togo, and Ivory Coast. I invested millions of dollars in this economy with the urban hotels as well as the urban financial center. And we employed
so many Liberians throughout my life. I've employed thousands of Liberians, specifically because they were Liberians. And I've helped with philanthropy and charity in Ivory Coast and Cameroon and even in the United States of America. One of the first encounters I had with our president, George Weah, was actually with him helping refugees in Ivory Coast, 1998, 1999, when I was doing the same thing. So, hello, are you there? Yeah. When I was doing the same thing, and though I didn't meet him back then, but I know about him because he was helping, and I was also helping. With respect to the debates, I just want to be on record that I have already said that I will be attending each and every debate whenever I'm asked to come, unless I'm out of the country. But as long as I'm here in Liberia, if it means I have to break my schedule, I'll be attending the debates. And the reason why is because I believe that the Liberian people must hear the platforms of each and every candidate so that they're able to make an informed decision with respect to the platform and the individual. I'm looking forward to this particular debate. I want to thank the organizers and those of you in the press and the audience who are here today. It is important, and I believe that subsequent debates after this one, I think that more people will get involved. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next person, wherever you position the mic and the quality is good, just keep it like that. Thank you, candidate Allen R. Brown Jr. of the Liberia Restoration Party. The next candidate.
My name is Tiawa C. Gonglo. I'm a lawyer and an economist. I've been an activist for a long time, from school days, going to jail at the age of 22 on Parliament, arguing and advocating for removal of one-party state through the movement for justice in Africa and the Student Unification Party. As a lawyer, I've been a human rights lawyer for most of my life. There are many people in this room who my work has helped. I've been advocating for good governance, and I've tried myself in government. I worked with the Soil government for 4 years as an executive assistant, attending all the peace conferences with him, writing his speeches, arranging his meetings. I worked as Solicitor General for 3.5 years, and Minister of
Looking at my country, I see that we are a country with no foundation. Countries that strive, that thrive in this generation, in this world, are countries that are built on foundations of honesty, accountability, all to join me so that we can begin the work of relaying the foundation of this country on honesty, accountability, integrity for the dignity of other people. I feel I have what it takes to lead our country into building
the photo. Come on, y'all tell in the photo. Then I want to share in the photo. When people lie in the photo, y'all bring it straight.
I'm representing Liberia. Years ago, place of 8 children. I always refer to myself as a student because I believe that the best education is one who always thinks that he knows nothing. But however, I graduated from Monrovia College. I'm having my alma mater from India. I also graduated from AME Zion University, and also a senior student at the University of Liberia, and I also attended international seminars. These elections, this debate is meant to showcase ourselves to our people. What do we represent, who we are. I am representing Liberia First Movement, an institution I believe that is a grassroots institution. I was once a cowboy, you call it mate, in Ghana. I was one of street seller in Monrovia. And I'm also among people who are referred to as minority, even though that disagree that I'm not a minority group because I'm a Mandingo and any other tribes I also know to be one. And then I'm very proud that I'm one of the 40 members of the ruling party, the CDC, where I disengaged with the political party when I realized that the vision for which it was created, that was not the intent of the government. I left the party when she had won the election. Fellow Liberians, I've come with my open hands. Every one of us here today and those who are not here, we are all privileged to be selected among the 5.4 million Liberians to represent you in these elections. We are not the best in these elections, you are the best. The decision of making great leaders rely on you, the Liberian people. Our job is to showcase ourselves, and that is why we are here today. Thank you. God bless Liberia.
Thank you. Kennedy Sheikh A. Koyate from the Liberia First Movement. Next candidate.
Good morning, everybody. Very proud to be here sitting on the platform with other people who want to really try to transform this country. My name is Dr. Clarence Modiba. I always start off by saying that I'm the proud son of the former Vice President of Liberia, Dr. Harry Modiba. And of course, my beautiful mother, Benita Modiba. Grew up in Liberia, first went to J.J. Roberts and then School of Prime Systems. But everybody understands when the war came, a lot of us had to leave, a lot of people had to leave. Lived in Sierra Leone for a few years, went to school there, and then ultimately ended up in the United States. While in the US, I ended up becoming a professional American football player. I ended up becoming a movie and acted in Hollywood movies for several years. But my entire life changed when my father died in 2004. That's when I made the commitment to be one of the people to transform Liberia. Since then, I've been blessed to have gotten an education. I have 2 masters and a PhD, one in government, another one in public administration from Harvard University. I have my PhD in rhetoric and political professional communications. I've also worked at the international arena, serving as a consultant to the World Bank, consultant, African Development Bank, and consultant to the United Nations. I've worked at the Liberian Embassy in Washington, D.C. I've served as Minister of State with my portfolio, being the youngest cabinet member under the previous administration. I've served as chairman of LEC, where I'm proud to say I've helped to negotiate hundreds of millions of dollars to Liberia, including the Mount Coffee Hydro, where I was on the team that went to secure the $250 million. I led the negotiation for the new airport terminal, which brought in $50 million from the Chinese. I've I've oversaw construction from the African Development Bank's project in the southeast. I oversaw the negotiation for the Lofa Road, which is being constructed right now. The ELW to Coca-Cola Road, we were able to secure that funding in 2016 when I also served as president, as head of the President Delivery Unit. So I say all of this to say that I proudly have negotiated hundreds of millions of dollars for Liberia. I'm also proud to say that not one single person would ever say that Dr. Clarence Manoa took one single dollar in thank you money or in pride money. We worked on projects such as the White Plains Water Facility, where again I oversaw implementation. And so again, I'm proud of the work I've done, but I continue to tell people that our future tomorrow in Liberia must be better than what we have today, and that's why I'm running. I also feel like I represent the new generation of this country, where 85% of the people in this country are under the age of 45. So I'm very proud of what we are doing. Everybody here in Liberia, but we just have to believe that we deserve better and we need to raise the bar. We can no longer continue to vote for somebody because they are popular. We should no longer continue to vote for somebody because they've been around for long.
Thank you,
Very proud of it.
Monoba. Thank you so much, Dr. Clarence Monoba, Liberian National Union. Next thing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I am
to end your vision. After a family man, married, for children, education, rate. I want to pass the education is all. I want to biology, football, as a matter of fact, my master's was from the children in their life, and also in English, for master degree in public administration at the University of Liberia. I graduated from the Liberia High School, but I always loved to mention my elementary school because that is school that opened my eyes to education. The rich university institute developed by man. I have to work experience. I began at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as assistant chief accountant. Later on, I had to migrate to the General Auditing Commission because I was interested in fighting corruption. And I worked with the General Auditing Commission as a foreign auditor for 2 years. And subsequently was promoted to the post of legal analyst to the Auditor General in January. But because I was interested in legal practice, it was supported by the American Bar Association while I was in law school. I had to migrate to work for the American Bar Association at the trainer for 2 years. And then later, I went to work with the Liberia National Bar Association as the first executive director. And subsequently, I went into private practice because I love to help people. And most of the legal work I've done are all criminal services because I love to help people. So I'm a volunteer and justice of the area, the master maintainer, and we want to be able to in everything. There is a word that I have formed. You fight for the man, and you do wrong for the human being. Teach the man how to build fire, and you will be warm for the rest of his life. The Liberian Building Party has come to teach the Liberian people how to build fire so that we can be warm for the rest of our lives. And in order to do that, we have to rebuild our country in 2 different ways.
Thank you, Kennedy. Yofi, thank you. We'll be very time conscious. That's the only way we can move this thing forward. You want to clap for all of the candidates? Please clap for them. Please clap for them. At least we can now talk a little bit about each of the candidates because they've said it about themselves. I also wanted to remind all of you that
journalism and media work in Liberia is evolving. Don't be surprised that tomorrow, Friday or Monday, institutions will be doing a fact check on some of the things you will be saying here today. I wanted to remind you because we have fact checkers. So when you say something, you think you've said it and you will go with it, boom, before you realize somebody will be fact checking. We'll move into the trending issues, we call them. The issues we will be discussing here today, and each of the candidates will have 5 minutes to talk about each of these thematic areas. First, let's talk about the economy. I don't know whether any of you sitting here would agree that our economy is okay. Well, that's left of you. But if you think the economy is not okay, what would you do as president of Liberia to help our economy grow? The first candidate, Edward Appleton. 5 minutes. What will be your economic policy? How will our economy improve? Honor your leadership.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It is evident that our national economy, as you stated, is in the opposite direction. We have an agrarian economy, and which means that through farming, most of the people in Liberia are farmers. 70% of the people depend on farming, and we see that creates almost 30,000 to 60,000 jobs, but that sector is not developed. So as part of our key strategy, we have to do a complete assessment of our national economy. We also have to look at our national debt, the way we borrow money. Over the past few years, we see that we are continually borrowing more money. We cannot generate sufficient revenue internally to fund public services. So we have to invest in many sectors as opposed to borrowing more money and putting ourselves into debt. You agree that at some point during the administration of President Selly, we did reach the high indebted poor country point, and about 4 million debt was waived. And within the span of 12 years to 16 years, we now have a national debt of at least $2 to $3 billion. So we have to take actions internally to generate more revenue and improve our economy, which includes job creation. We have to reassess some of the concession agreements that we have to see how well they are functioning and performing and see what kind of jobs they are creating for our people. We also have to look at other sectors. For example, the blue economy. The World Bank and IMF and other international organizations have done empirical studies and found that developing countries can improve their economies by investing in the blue economy. For example, fisheries. That's an area to create jobs and generate revenue that will assist us to fund some of our public projects. So that means we have to look at our fishermen. We have to reinvest and reevaluate the Commission on Fisheries to ensure that we can empower those people who are involved in that sector. Liberians, of course, not Chinese. Most of our fishermen don't have the equipment, boats, for example, to go beyond 1 nautical mile. They have to go at least 5 nautical miles to find crown jewel, fish, lobster, which can be sold here and some can be exported. We also have to take actions, for example, to invest in tourism. We have almost 580 kilometers of beaches. Our tourist infrastructure is underdeveloped. that is the source of government revenue. We can generate revenue from tourism if we can organize it, we can evaluate it, we can create jobs, and we can boost our gross domestic product. Another sector, key sector, is our agriculture sector. We have to ensure that we can find our farmers, we can train our farmers, we can move beyond the agrarian farming into using machinery to speed up production, to grow more food, to teach them new skills in terms of farming, to provide seeds. Most of what is produced in the country are for consumption, and a whole lot of them get rotten and spoiled because we don't have storage facilities. That is a good area of investment as well. So a serious government has to look at these sectors to ensure that we can improve the national economy. We will be able to generate revenue, and we will depend less on foreign funding. 55% of our revenue in this country is based on foreign funding. We are not able to generate revenue internally from all of these sectors that other countries are investing in. The state of Hawaii depends completely on tourism. Why not Liberia, with our fine and beautiful beaches? So these are actions we will take to ensure that we can improve our national economy.
You've exhausted the 5 minutes. Thank you so much. The economy on an Allen R. Brown Jr. government.
All right, thank you so much.
5 minutes.
Thank you so much. The first thing I want to do is use this time to distinguish myself from the rest of the platforms. I'm on record to say that our greatest asset is our human resource capacity, meaning that it's not the minerals, it's not the gold, the diamond, it's we, the people of Liberia, and I'm interested in building our people. The economy presents such an opportunity, but not the only opportunity. So let's start with the feeding. Most people in this country wake up in the morning, they don't know exactly how they're going to eat. I know this because I'm involved with the food ministry. We've been feeding people for years, along with Pink Ibema. She is the incoming senator for Bond County. We fed over 100,000 people. As I speak today, she's on the road going to feeding more people. And we've been feeding young kids. It's expanded to the parents because people are that hungry. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is an example of a president who fed his people in the Great Depression. So it's not something that's unheard of. With respect to the economy, the next thing after feeding, I'm going to make our people landlords. That means that each family, I'm talking specific policy, which distinguishes me from every other platform. So when I speak about making each family that as a Liberian you should be entitled to becoming a landlord, what is the policy? The policy is that the property that you will be given is not for free, you have to pay for it. But you don't have to worry about that because there will be the financing that will be provided for it. So the ground floor is going to be built, that foundation to take 4 floors on top of that ground floor. The ground floor is where you live. The first floor is the investment property that will pay the bills a management company will run it. You can go up 3 floors. It transforms completely the lives of each and every Liberian. It moves you from becoming a tenant to becoming a landlord. It makes our people, it forces us to become a middle income country. So that's the first thing. It's far reaching. It's now they have governments, I think in Libya and Singapore, what they have done, they've been able to put their people in homes as a policy. But we can no longer play catch up anymore. We've got to think ahead and we've got to get ahead. The way to do that is precisely what I'm saying, become landowners. Then after I make you landowners, I'm going to, there's a company, I know an international company, they do business development and source financing. I'm going to bring them to Liberia. We're going to get 50 young people from each county, that's 750 people. We're going to put them in a training program for business development. Then we're going to finance them. When we finance them, we're going to spread them across every single sector of our economy. And then we're going to unleash them to set the Liberian economy ablaze. What that means is that it transforms the economy and it makes our people very competitive. When I'm done with that, I'm going to get into the private sector. 100 individuals from each county. We're going to train them in all the different ministries. That's 1,500. We're going to train them in all the different ministries. And then they'll go from bureau to agencies. After that, we're going to, for about 30 months after that, we're going to send them to all the different parts of government. And this is important. What it does, it transforms. You transform the private sector, you transform the government, the public sector. And these are very, very novel things. Now, did you guys know that there are more microprocessors in a computer chip processed annually than there are grains of rice? So what am I saying? I'm saying that Liberia has to become a technological giant. I am going to be focused on building our brains. We have it. We just haven't utilized it. We've just underdeveloped it. So in order for us to be a technological giant, which is the way of the future, I'm going to be focused on education that'll be geared towards technology and that'll help our people. It'll force the international and multinational companies to come into Liberia because we will have what they are looking for. Now, look, I have so many things to say about the economy. What I do want you to do is to go to Allen Brown, Liberia, or Africa. You can Google it.
Thank you, Benedict Brown. Thank you so much, Allen Brown. 5 minutes. Benedict, say, what will you do differently? How will your administration work to boosting the Liberian economy?
Thank you very much. No economy can develop, thrive, and progress without a rule of law. So I'm going to make Liberia a strong rule of law environment that will create an environment for us to engage in economic activities. And what do I intend to do? My policy will be, as President Tupper had, import substitution and export promotion. That is what will change our balance of trade. We spend more money from abroad than we will send abroad. We will go in our area of comparative advantage. That is the things we produce here. So I'm going to decentralize the economy. I'm going to give an incentive, several incentives, including tax incentive, dropping corporate tax for any company that establishes a factory 50 miles away from the building. And it will be on an incremental basis. To the extent that if your factory is established in Barclay or Maryland or Panama, you'll be paying very low corporate tax. But what it would do is that when you employ, for example, 1,000 persons in Barclay, those people will pay income tax to government. So government tax base will be expanded. Well, we are multiply effect of that type of policy, that type of investment, because the employees will then pay rent to a house owner, real estate owner. They will get income which will be taxed by government. They will also purchase things around it. The fact that there's income in the local area, people invest. We've seen this before. President Tupper established Lipsuko, a sugar producing company in Happen, and it caused people to leave from Manila to go and work there. And then Vampla in Greenville Sound will employ a lot of people. There's a social aspect of that. When you have jobs created all over the country, it reduces the massive rural urban migration that then causes young people to come to Monrovia when they don't have jobs, they engage in taking jobs, learn by their friends, and then they become criminals. We intend to also emphasize liberalization in the economy, and it will serve them the constitutional cause for that. That Liberians must be given the opportunity to participate in the economy, to have maximum participation in the economy. Would that be like it's been done now? So, first day in office, I will say clearly to my ministers and heads of agency, nobody will buy foreign-made furniture. We are about the highest order of forestry in West Africa. 43% of the tropical species are here. So we give job to our Liberian carpenters, not foreign carpenters. The only Liberian-made furniture will be used in government ministries and agencies, and anybody who violates that will be dismissed by me immediately. We want money to stay right here. We'll do the same thing for every area that we have. We encourage investors to invest in industries that will use natural rubber to produce gloves, tires, and other things that are made out of natural rubber, so that we make more money, more of our money stays here rather than going abroad. This is what we're going to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, candidate Tewok Gonglo. Next candidate Temon, the economy.
What will the economy look like? I started first with the story about my experience in Hong Kong, where my host in Hong Kong said their nation was thriving because they have honest people in business, honest people in the workplace, people with integrity, people who are held accountable, disciplined people. So here's what I will do first. Create an economic management team that's going to be filled with professional people who are just not people with capacity, but people who have character. Our problem in this country is not that we don't have qualified people with capacity, intellectual capacity. Most of the qualified people we have with intellectual capacity, they just don't have character. They just don't have integrity. So under a David Cameron-led government, we will find the professional people who have capacity, but who also have character. In the event that we have people with character who don't have the capacity, we will build them up so that they have the character and the integrity they need. We are not going to be raising rats, then we ask cats to come to be security for the rats. You know, cats like rats. So you can be taking crooks who are intellectually okay, but they lack morals, and you allow them to oversee your management of your economy. The next thing I'm going to do is I will make sure I strengthen all of our integrity institutions. We will strengthen them, we'll clean them up. We are going to make sure that our law enforcement arms of government are working very well, so that these people with capacity but lack integrity, when they begin to take our finances, they will be disciplined. I will strengthen the integrity institutions. But thirdly, what we will do is we will reintroduce the free economic zone policy. And we will prefer to bring in companies that will respect our dignity as a people, and they will open factories here to create jobs so that our people who have capacity and character will be able to work. More jobs will be created when we announce this free economic zone thing, and people will be employed. We do have natural resources, and that's the fourth thing I'm going to turn to, that we will focus on developing our domestic revenue generation. And when we begin to raise more money through our minerals, through giving professional people, our capitals and masons and all of that opportunity to make money, we will be generating money into this economy. But you see, when we raise all of this money, they will be managed by people who have capacity but who also have character. To manage our economy, I am going to make sure that we take it very serious, that we have people with character, not crooks, in our economic management area or zones. And I think when we begin to build our economy on people who have capacity but also have character, and we strengthen these institutions, jobs will be created, they will be protected, and we will have an economy that will thrive. That's the foundation that we need. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Kemo. Next candidate, Alexander N. Colley, the economy on Alexander Colley's presidency.
Under the Colley led government, so the economy is not strange to us. It's not a new concept. It's something that we have. In fact, we have institutions that have been, allocated for by the government of this republic to help with our economy. But why are we considered the 10th poorest country in the world? So it means those institutions are not functioning. So before we go to doing other things, we need to look at those institutions that have been set aside to deal with that. And so we will make sure we have competent people in those institutions. And we see that even in our government today, we see probably 75 to 85% of our employees in this country are being employed by the government. So what does that tell us? It tells us that the government is using most of our money on salaries. So we've seen for over 176 years of independence and over 200 years of existence, we have nothing to show because priorities are not built on creating good businesses and economic development projects. We don't have those. So we want to revisit that and make sure we have people that are being employed. Development, create that we have the Ministry of Public Works. We work for Liberian people. But how do we do that? There are several things we do. First of all, we create tax incentives for businesses. Even visas for investors. Let's revisit our visa programs to see how our investors can come in here and invest in our country. But when we do that, we also will be able to be mindful that we don't leave our fellow Nigerians out. We're going to have one of the major part of our platforms, we have job creation and putting Liberia on the global market again. Look, Madam Seri said something. Madam Seri said, Liberia is not a poor country. Liberia is just managed poorly. And I believe that. Liberia is not a poor country. And as we go on, we'll give you some facts that will buttress that. So with that mind in mind, and I said earlier, I believe I'm a very strong believer of being an example. That's what I said earlier. Albert Schweitzer said, example is not the main thing in influencing others. Example is the only thing. So when we take over, we'll be very, very conscious of that and we'll show examples, even in these ministries that are and agencies that are responsible for that, and we'll hold them accountable. So we have areas where we can revisit, even our maritime. And let's revisit that. We used to be number 1, we're number 3 now. We can revisit that and provide jobs. We have people in our foreign, we have our partners, even in the US and India. Let me give you one example. India has a population of 1.4 billion, but India is providing food to feed us. There's something wrong with that. We have 5.2 billion. They have 1.4 billion. They can feed themselves and send food to feed us. There's something wrong with that. So what do? We reach out to them, come and show what you're doing. They are going to come and teach us and invest in our economy as well. When we bring them, they're going to show us how, and they're going to come and do mechanized farming in our place as well. But one thing I learned through my research, in my talk with them, the government of India, and I know we'll talk about agriculture, I don't put that in there because that would be another form of job creation. So, but I'm not leave that one. I will tell you what we got. But we will be able to do those things. We will create a job by giving incentives to business that will come to the country. We'll visit our visa program for investors to come in, and we'll try by all to make our economy friendly, business friendly. Because currently there are businesses who are afraid to come here because of our current government does not have a good record in creating that condition for businesses. So we will create a business-friendly environment where investors will come and invest. And we'll also be able to put our young people to work by creating developmental projects.
Thank you. Candidate Colley,
to move on this, that the people in the public sometimes are interested in the how. It's a good thing for us to speak the way we speak, but sometimes people are interested in the how, and probably sometimes will be very practical in terms of telling us exactly the institutions you will set up to do what you say you will do. Yes.
Thank you. Speaking as Liberia incoming 25th President of the Republic of Liberia, I, Sheikh Ali Mustafa Kouyaté, if I'm elected as President of this country, the first thing we do in order to boost our economy will be to develop skillful citizenry. We will train the citizenry of our country, not just the youth, even the disabled community will be included in that. We'll have an inclusive empowerment program where we train our citizenry to become useful and prepare for jobs creation. Secondly, we want to introduce a policy that we refer to as total liberalization policy. In this policy, we will focus on the industrialization of agriculture and mining sectors. We will ensure that our farmers will be given support, and we encourage international partners and local investors to cooperate with our farmers so that we will be able to have 5 rice mill plants in Liberia, since rice is a staple food. And each of the region will have one, and we will ensure the government of Liberia, under my leadership as president of this country, we will provide support for our farmers to give them equipment and to ensure that we have where the transport from the farm to the city, that the companies that will be established for milling the rice, they and our local farmers will have a partnership. When the man harvests, he has a place to sell the rice. And when the rice is sold to that manufacturing plant, they will mill the rice and sell it locally on our market. That is our plan when it comes to agriculture and improving our economies. We are known as a country that has huge deposit of natural resources. Our gold and diamond are leaving this country without any trace, without any account. We will ensure that we have a gold mining, with a gold refinery company in Liberia. We should be a PPP, private-public partnership, to have a law to ensure that every mineral in this country that includes iron ore, we must have 30% industrialized in our country on the iron ore company. So when I become president, we will revisit all the concession agreements, all those that have contract to take iron ore from here or as well. You must have an industry in this country, or the Liberian government will establish through partnership with private institutions to establish Liberia steel manufacturing factory. And we will ensure that all of those who have signed concession agreements, 30% of iron ore must be prepared or industrialized in Liberia. We should create jobs for those young people, those citizens of our country that are already trained in accordance with our first plan. Thirdly, we will ensure to have a reform, a judicial reform, that will strengthen accountability. And the fourth thing will be, we will have an experienced person to serve as a Minister of Finance and Development, so that that person becomes a direct advisor to me as a president of this country, knowing very well that Sheikh Ali Mustafa Kouyaté as a president alone cannot do it. But when I'm surrounded by people who have the capacity and expertise, we can make our country a better place. And in conclusion, I want to say to you that Liberia is a great country that has
The first resource we have is we have 65% of our young people, our population who are young people. That alone is an advantage for us. Secondly, we have fertile soil for agriculture. And thirdly, we have natural resources that can sustain this country where we do not have to go out there like other price government to seek for foreign aid. Under my administration, Liberia will not be running out there for foreign aid, but Liberians will make this country great, and it will be great for every one of us through industrialization of agriculture and mining sectors. Thank you so much. May God bless you.
Thank you, candidate Shakwoyate. Let's listen to the next candidate. Improving the Liberian economy, honor Dr. Clarence Monoba as president of Liberia. And policy.
Again, thank everybody for the opportunity to be able to talk about how we want to move our country forward.
You are watching the 2022-2023 presidential debate live from the Cinco Palace Hotel. If you just join us, I want to welcome all of our listeners across the world to this presidential debate.
There's no reason Sierra Leone and Ghana, places like that, should be doing better than us here in Liberia. Absolutely no reason. And so when we talk about how we can move this country forward, especially from the economic side, I think we have to go to the very basics. Liberia is one of the few countries that when we want rice, we don't go to our lands. We go to the free port and we look on the water and ask the question, when is rice coming? We have Bon County, Lofa, Babodu, Kitma, all these counties behind us, but we go to Freeport and ask the question, when is rice coming? Under a Moniba-led administration, we'll be very clear how we want to move the country forward. There are 15 counties in Liberia, and every single county in this country will be responsible to become a full production zone. So I'll give an example. You will go to Lofa, Bon, Babodu, Kitma, Bomi, and say they will produce all of the rice that the people of Liberia will be able to eat. You go to Lima, you go to Virginia, and you see you go to Cocoa, you go to Cassava. You go to the southeast, with that boy pepper. We import millions of dollars every single year from Guinea and other places in pepper. Why? Are you trying to tell me that the people of Liberia cannot grow pepper? You go to Pasa, you go to Riverside, you have to grow vegetables, fruits, etc. We must become a food producing country. We must be able to sustain ourselves in terms of food. When you go to education and skills, the models have been very simple, and Germany is a country that we need to learn from. We need to focus on ensuring, and with God's blessing and with the people of Liberia support, we need to ensure that every single person who graduates from high school has 2 years of technical and vocational training. So when you graduate from high school, you're not just a high school graduate with a diploma. In your one hand, you have your diploma. In the other hand, you have been trained as a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, a masoner, a caterer, something, so that you would then be able to not only create your own job and sustain yourself, but everybody can join hands to build the country. Several countries have done that. If we make thousands and then ultimately millions of Liberian people in this country have skills, we'll be able to transform the country by growing our economy. We'll be able to export people out of this country. Even when I served as chairman of LEC, we sometimes had to import skilled workers from Ghana and other countries simply because the Liberian people did not qualify under the World Bank regulations or under the EU regulations for the qualifications to do simple things that Liberian people should be doing. So from a youth perspective, every single person in high school will receive 2 years of technical vocational training that will ultimately go to the economy and ensure that we have skilled workers, not only to develop our country, but also export so we can start to travel. When you look at the tourism sector, it's a shame that Liberia right now does not have one of the best surfing destinations in the world. Liberia was named, Cape Mount Robertsport was named the best place to surf in Africa. Yet there's no economic activity there, barely any. Immediately we'll pass executive order, we'll open visa on arrival here in Liberia. Other countries such as Kenya has done that. You should be able to come to Liberia and spend your money. We should not make it difficult to come to our country. We have to open up the economy. That's one. Even when you transition to maritime, we are one of the top 3 flag carrying countries in the world in terms of ships. Why do we not have thousands of our Liberian people working on every ship that carries the Liberian flag? Why are we just getting pennies on the dollar for every dollar that Maritime makes? These are things that we have to be very clear about. If we want to move this country forward, we have to change the way we think. We have the skills, we have the talent, we have the resources, but we do not have the leadership. The problem in Liberia is that we do not implement and we do not hold people accountable, especially when it comes to corruption, especially when it comes to implementing projects around the country. So those are some ways I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to talk further about other sectors so we can go more in detail. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kennedy Morima. Let's get to Councillor Kennedy Yofi. The Liberian economy, your programs and policy to grow our economy under our administration. I'm beginning to understand why our country Liberia is power. Most of our leaders only speak for the periphery. I will build skyscrapers in the sky. They don't tell you how they are going to accomplish that. We step-by-step approach they are going to engage in order to actualize their vision. They don't tell you that. We from the Liberia Republican Party will tell you how we are going to accomplish it. In order to improve the economy of Liberia, we must first accept why is the economy not growing? Why is the economy of Liberia backward? We will first do an assessment, and that we have done. We have noticed that one major reason why the Liberian economy is not growing because of three major things: unnecessary borrowing, high importation of goods and services, rampant corruption. But because of time, I will zero in on how we can rebuild our economy, generate sufficient money, tourism. And in order to do that, we have to detach culture affairs and tourism away from the Ministry of Information. Because the Ministry of Information is only focusing on political activity, and our culture and tourism industry are dying in this country. High importation. We import rice, our staple food, from abroad. Statistics have shown that we spend up to 300 million annually just to import rice in this country. That's why I told you one of the major reasons for the decline in our economy is high importation, less exportation. So, since our major staple is rice, we are going to focus on rice production. Now, your question will be, how do we do it? We are going to establish a tripartite committee. The importers, the government, and the Liberian farmers. I heard one politician say, we will bring people into this country to come and grow food for us. That's the kind of a dependency syndrome we keep bringing to our country. We want other people to do the job for us. And at the end of the day, they take all the money away from our country and they end up in other foreign countries. We will not allow that to happen. As I said earlier, it's a partner committee, the government on one hand, the importers of rice on one hand, and the Liberian farmers. How are we going to further do it? The government and the importers are going to have an agreement where the government and the importers will pool resources to bring in tractors and other farming tools and implements, clear the land for the farmers, with the proviso that we enter an agreement that all the rest produced by the farmers will be purchased by the importers. Now I want you to get the crux of the matter. The importers are very important. If we don't include them, our whole dream is going to fail, and I'm going to tell you that later. But when we have this tripartite committee, we're going to make sure we clear the land for our farmers. We give them the necessary tools and implements. We are going to provide the best grade of sea rice that can grow in this country. And then our farmers are going to produce. The importers will buy from them. And the importers will now be responsible to bag them and sell them at a predetermined cost so that they don't overcharge our people. When that is done, we are going
to fight to provide sufficient food for our people in this country. But this is how it's going to be. The reason why you import the importers because they are the ones in the district. They are importing and they have generated millions of dollars. So any attempt to leave them out will create a fuel disaster. If we have time, I'm going to elaborate on that. But this is how we want to do it. Say in the first year, it is our growing farmers are able to produce 200,000 bags of rice. And the importers are going to be the ones who are going to purchase from them. They will then reduce their importation correspondingly. In other words, they will reduce their importation by 200,000 bags of rice in order to inculcate the number of bags produced by the Nigerian farmers so that there won't be a reduction on the market and an overflow. There will always be an equilibrium. Say the following year, the Nigerian farmers are able to produce 500,000 bags of rice. The importer will correspondingly reduce their importation by 500,000.
Yofi, thank you so much. Wow. Please clap for the candidates. Clap for them, please. They spoke about what the different administrations will do to improve the Liberian economy. We move on to our next discussion, and we'll begin right with him. This one is going to be 3 minutes each. National security, justice and law. National security, justice, and the rule of law. Honor your administration. Let's hear you. 3 minutes. Justice and the rule of law.
You know, justice has a system of peace. In order for peace and tranquility to reign in a country, there will be justice. Without justice, there will be no peace and tranquility in any nation. In order for justice to prevail in the land, the actors that are responsible for investigating crimes and punishing crimes should be very, very active. That is to say, we have the police, we have the courts, and we have the correction. Most of the time, we are very proactive in sending people to jail, but we forget the aspect of rehabilitating them. So, for example, you incarcerate a man for 7 years because of crime he committed, very fine. But as we incarcerate them, we forget about them. 7 years later, with all rehabilitation whatsoever, he comes out of incarceration after 7 years, not rehabilitated, not given any skill. He becomes 2 times more dangerous than ever before. And then you bring him into society because he has served his term for prison. And then he begins to inflict his venom on him. What we are going to do, we are going to ensure that we reform our judiciary. And to do that, we need to reduce the trial time. We will reduce the trial time so we don't have sufficient time in order for me to elaborate. Reduce the trial time, train the law enforcement officers. We are going to ensure that we create an intermediary. One. We are going to make sure we establish intermediary appeal courts so that not every appeal coming from second court will go directly to the Supreme Court, because we have a lot of backloads of cases on the docket for 4 or 5 years that cannot be adjudicated. Where there is no justice, there will be no peace. So we want to create opportunity for justice to be speedy and to be achievable. So these intermediary courts will hear most of the appeal cases, except where the appeal cases are based on the constitutionality of the land. Then such cases will not go up to the Honorable the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia. Otherwise, those intermediary appeal courts are going to adjudicate those matters
and solution therefrom will not be further appealed to the Honorable Supreme Court. So in other words,
thank you, sir. I understand you're a lawyer. Let's stick to the time, please. National security, candidate Dr. Clarence Monoba, justice and the rule of law. National security. Let's hear you, 3 minutes.
Again, thank you for that. I said before that our challenge in Liberia is Liberia has some of the best laws, not only in Africa but in the world. There's no law in Liberia that says corruption is legal, yet it happens almost every single day. There's no law that says that rape is legal, yet in Liberia when people rape, we normally say, oh, let's go to the Palava hut, that the devil flew in, let's go talk to the Liberian way. So it's the implementation and the accountability that is troubling our economy, is troubling our justice system, is troubling every factor and facet of our society. What we have to do is we have to first, when we look at justice, peace, security, the first thing we have to do is to really recognize that we are not treating our civil servants fairly, we are not treating the police officers fairly, we are not treating our immigration officers fairly. There's no way in good conscience we can be delayed on the salary of a security officer 2 or 3 months, the police officer, paying him $150, $160. Don't pay him for 2 or 3 months, and then you expect that person to be able to go to the community and risk it and put their lives on the line to protect the community. It's not going to happen. Even when we look at the judges, how much do we truly pay the judges who are supposed to arbitrate the laws in this country? We don't pay them. We pay them very little. We don't support them. We don't give them proper training. Even when you go back to the police officer or the immigration officer, we don't give them proper training. We don't facilitate them. So we are not investing in the security sector in this country. And then we have people who say, buy CCTV when there's no electricity all over the country. Listen, so in order to change this country, Liberia and Liberians, we are hard to hear, but we are very quick to learn. Let me ask the question. Who has gone to jail in Liberia for corruption over the last 5 years, over the last 10 years, over the last 15 years? Yet again, corruption happens over and over again. So the rule of law, in terms of security, in terms of justice, it boils down to the simple fact we need the political will to implement the rules that are already stated. We put people in jail, we make them to pay restitution, whether they are selling drugs or being corrupt. You will immediately see that the Liberian people will say, this thing is serious now, my hand are inside. But if somebody steals in Liberia, what do we say? That a man come to a job, that embezzlement, your leading man, Liberia, the elephant meat. How do we expect to implement any type of rule of law? How do we expect to keep the rule of law if we continue to allow practices that continue to harm our country? So again, going back to rule of law, security, everything else, it boils down to the political will and the ability for the leadership to implement the laws of this country.
Thank you, candidate Clarence Dr. Monoba. Sheikh Koyate, 3 minutes. What will you do to improve national security of our country as far as justice and the rule of law is concerned?
As president of Liberia, Liberia 25th president, the first thing I would do to strengthen the national security of our country will be judiciary reform. They show that we'll have a system, though we don't have laws, though we have institutions responsible for this, but as president of this country, to use my authority to enforce the execution to ensure the implementation of all of our judicial programs. 2, we will ensure that every law enforcement officer is well trained and well paid. When you pay a police officer now $90, and you expect this person to arrest a criminal that has stolen $10,000, and this criminal has offered the officer $150, how do you expect that officer to arrest that criminal that is just paying just that time? Do we have a policy that reward officers who fight, who provide, or who bring forward cases of such? I remember 3 years ago, a police officer arrested a vehicle around Vamoma. This vehicle had Liberian dollars, over 300,000. It had US dollars. When the police officer stopped the gentleman, the person that had the money called one of the bosses, and the bosses just told him release him. When we have a system of government where you say that every police officer should become whistleblower, that is to tell you that no one is above the law. I can tell you for sure that we will have a security in this country that will solve the state. But today, I was seeing this in the southeast. I realized the entire southeast has less than 5 vehicles. Today, we are having election. The ruling party has over 100 vehicles. The national security do not even have 50 vehicles in total. How do you expect to have a security in this country to protect life and property when security itself are vulnerables? I do believe, as president of this country, I'm speaking as a potential candidate, knowing very well that I will be elected by Liberian people. When elected by our people, I will ensure that civil servants, including law enforcers, the minimum salary that we're giving will be $250, believing that our economic programs will be able to support them with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, candidate.
Let's move on to the next candidate, national security, referencing justice and the rule of law. Is that okay? Go ahead.
I always say, in order to have equal justice, there must be equal opportunity. No equal opportunity, you will never have equal justice. That's another thing. And again, we want to make sure, in order to have that equal opportunity, like I said earlier, Liberia is not a poor country. Liberia is just old. So we'll be able to, to invest in the policing. We have opportunity to visit countries where even the little child, when they grow up, the first thing they want to become is policeman. I mean, even my son was growing up, said, Dad, I want to be a policeman. That's what they do. Why? Because the police in other countries are respected. They have very, invested into the policing and so forth. And we can do that here. That we can all agree here on this, that we have an enforcement problem. And we will bring that to the table. But we must first invest in our police, our military as a whole. Even I'm sure we have, we try to decentralize the military and have battalions all over the country. If not, we'll do that. If it is, then empower them, strengthen them. I mean, the people at the border, a few months ago, we had a container of over $100 million worth of drugs. How did it get here? It passed through our border. So if the man is not very well, you will just allow him to fly. But one thing we need to do also, even the whole drug thing we see around here, one thing we need to do, if there's a law, then we enforce it in our next one, is the way to do law. Even our community, somebody want to say, oh, if you tell the police that you can sell drugs, when they come for you, they will kill you and all your family. So there will be whistleblower protection. We try to make that a possibility. We look even our communities. We see even the home, we try to make sure we provide education in the home, because if the drug seller is going out, the first thing that will happen is that mother, that father, create some even in schools where you teach people how to adhere to the rule of law. Even let's not talk about the judges, but we can handle this thing at the community level. When we can teach our children, we can tell them to report the police. We will have stringent measures. If you touch any policeman, if you assault any policeman, you have a different thing different penalty that will come on you. You to even think about touching policeman, you will think twice. But we don't have those laws in place. If we do, then we enforce it and strengthen those areas. We want to be, once we do that, justice, national security, and the rest, the rule of law, will find a place in our hearts. Because those are the people who enforce the law, the police people. So that's how we want to do that. We're going to make sure we have the homes a part of it, our parents, our mother, the school.
Thank you, candidate Collins. Your 3 minutes is gone. Let's go to candidate David G.B. Campbell. National security, human rights, not human rights, national security, justice, and the rule of law.
My message since this morning has been that Liberia is a country without solid foundation. That's why we are not thriving. Nations that thrive, they thrive on honesty, obedience to the rule of law, justice, respect for the dignity of other human beings. When we lay these foundations, Liberia will thrive under a David Cameron-led government. Here's what we will do. First, we will begin with cleaning up our justice system, our judicial system. I said earlier that it's not only enough to have capacity, you need to have character. It looks to me like our justice system does seem to have a lot of people with capacity, but lack moral character. We need to start from there. Clean up the justice system. Fire the people without character. Look for the people with character, with integrity. Put them in the justice system so that we make justice work for everybody. It shouldn't be a buddy thing. No. People who have credentials but don't have character, let's get them out of the system. If they are willing to change, let them change. And based on character, we keep them in the system. Secondly, we need to make sure we put money into law enforcement. If we are serious about security, let's provide the logistics for our police officers. We got the money to do it. The reason we're not doing it is, again, the people who are managing the money of the country don't have fiscal discipline. They do have credentials, but they lack character. Everything falls on this character thing. Let's find the right people. Let them take over law enforcement in our country. Then we look into our budget and increase the budget, for security. If we pay our security personnel well, they have good housing, good uniforms, logistics, vehicles, we raise their morale, then the communities will be protected. But if the morale for security is low, because we have people overseeing our finances, taking money because they don't have the discipline to manage our economy, that's a problem. So that's where I will start from.
Thank you. Councillor Tiawan, Save Donglo.
Thank you.
National security, justice, and the rule of law.
So national security involves external security and internal security. We don't have any external security partner. Nobody has ever attacked us. Sierra Leone never attacked us. Guinea never attacked us. Africa has never attacked us. They will never do so. So we don't have external security partner. We only have internal security partner. And it is because of lack of respect for the rule of law, or the lack of willingness of past leaders to actually govern by the rule of law. Now, one of the internal security problems we have is actually food insecurity. April 14 caused this country to change. So one of the things I want to do is to actually deal with the food security issue. Some good brought in earlier on. I want under my government to have a plan to buy rice producing machines to divide it among the farmers in the 15 counties through the farmers cooperatives to produce more food everywhere, rice. But more than that, I want to instruct the military through the chief of staff to use the agriculture and engineering battalion with machines to produce 100 acres of rice each of the 15 counties. would definitely have enough rice, and the price of rice would be low. In terms of adherence to the rule of law, we'll issue 2 executive orders. One, that any official government that interferes with police operation will be dismissed and charged for obstruction of government function. We issue another executive order specifically for protecting the independence of the judiciary as well. That anybody who interferes with the court, from the magistrate to the Supreme Court, will be dismissed and charged for obstruction of justice. But more than that, we'll monitor the judiciary as well. And monitor, we'll use our intelligence agencies to monitor both the police and the judiciary. In terms of the police, we'll issue an executive order that the people of Liberia have a right to monitor the police. So the case in America, the George Floyd case, if that 17-year-old girl was not monitoring, the police will have come up. So the citizens of Liberia have a right to take all police officers and law enforcement officers in their work to make sure there's integrity in the process. So rule of law is everything. We're talking about justice, national security. Those are all rule of law issues. The law must be applied to everyone equally. Everyone must be below the law. Recently, we saw in America, former president of the United States being fingerprinted and going through the legal process. That's what they call the rule of law. It must be equally applied to everyone. I have been in the rule of law.
Councilor Bangolo, thank you so much. Okay. 3 minutes is over. We say it, we mean it. That is why it is a debate. Stick to the time. Let's hear you. Allen R. Brown Jr. What will you do? National security, human rights. Not human rights. National security, justice, and the rule of law. We'll come to human rights. Are you concerned about it? How? What will you do?
Security and justice are inextricably intertwined. There must be a restoration of confidence in leadership in this country. As your president, I will lead by example. Because people listen to words, but what they follow is what you do. And I will lead by example. Part of my platform talks about how I will deal with corruption, security, and the rule of law. I will appoint judges that are competent, meaning that they understand the subject matter of the law. If they make a mistake, it won't be because they don't know what they're doing. I will appoint judges that have character and personal integrity. What you gain from money, you can sell for money. What you gain from your integrity conviction, you don't easily go against your conviction. It stays with you. Thirdly, I will appoint judges that have compassion for others. If there's a felon that is demonstrably contrite, it's likely that there's some sort of compassion that's allowable under the law and that the judges will look at. This is a systemic issue. Most importantly, I will not interfere. I repeat, I will not interfere with the judiciary. I will allow them to do their job. Part of the problem is when you have an executive overlapping to the judiciary. I won't do that. The executive branch will be led by example. And then the last thing is compensation. I will make sure that I compensate the people in security. That means I'm going as far back as the retired military personnel and police officers to make sure that we set an example that will allow for recruitment. And before Clarence kicks me out, I can say that's good enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Kennedy Appleton, let's hear you. Don't worry, Mr. Brown. Once you leave, keep affirmative with the time will be okay.
Thank you. I think I must agree with most of my colleagues that integrity, accountability are very important when it comes to the establishment of rule of law. And we have to do a review of our judicial system. That is very important. We do have some very good lawyers in this country, But the grassroots development movement will first look at the framework in terms of code of conduct. We will reevaluate the grievance and ethics committee, for example. We want to ensure that those who are involved with law enforcement will conform to their code of ethics and will be held accountable for lack of conformance. Corruption impedes that. Lawlessness, lack of public confidence in our security sector. These are things we have to be concerned about. On our administration, there will be an executive order as part of our 100-day plan to ensure that all civil servants pay are brought current. That includes our law enforcement and security sector employees. We have to strengthen our border security. We have to ensure that our police are well trained, are provided with the tools and equipment and the logistics. We have to crack down on corruption and have stiff penalties for those involved in corruption. We also have to restore public confidence in our police and security sectors. Judicial system reform is very important in this country, but there is no level of accountability. We know that we do have a separation of powers. Notwithstanding, we must ensure that we have credible people within our judicial system. Like one of my colleagues alluded to, you cannot have a judge making laws. The judge has to interpret the law as written. But judges are making laws based on what they can receive because they are now well paid. So we must be serious about ensuring that for government to function properly, people have to get paid. They have bills to pay. And if you don't pay the police, you don't pay our judicial or the people working in the judiciary, even the national legislature, if you're not paying these people, there will be corruption and it will erode the rule of law.
Thank
and
you.
The system.
Thank you. I want you to please clap for candidates. They very well. It's somewhere. We have heard from them on the policies, what will be the policies on national security, justice, and the rule of law. Now we will start from candidate applicant. Each of you will jointly address the issue of agriculture and education. Your policy for agriculture and education, 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Let's talk about your policy on agriculture and education.
Thank you very much. It's well known that we have an agrarian economy, meaning that most of the people in the economy are involved with agriculture. So the way we conduct agriculture in Liberia is rudimentary. There has to be a metamorphical change in the way we conduct agriculture. We must be able to identify our farmers. We must be able to know where they are. We must be able to do a reassessment of our soil. We must get the best agronomists to do so. Many people think that our soil is rich, but there are different types of soil. We have to know. We also have to ensure that our farmers are provided with the tools and equipment. Under our government, we have a national policy to mechanize farming in this country. But you will never be successful in agriculture if there are not roads, good roads. Under my administration, we will ensure that we can build these farm-to-market roads because you can plant all the food that you want. If you don't have the roads to take them to the market, you have just wasted your time. So under our administration, with the grassroots development movement in terms of agriculture,
We have to reinvest. We have to ensure that, as my colleague stated, every county is producing something. Every county is also provided with the kinds of tools, machinery, know-how, including storage facilities. Most of our food, we produce a lot of food here though, but most of them get spoiled. They barely go to the market because one, there are no farm to market roads. Two, there are no storage facilities. Three, some of our farmers lack the basic training. So in terms of our agricultural plan, we will ensure that we can look locally, because we do have many people in this country who are involved in agriculture, but they lack the opportunity, they lack the incentive, they lack the logistics, and under my administration, we will be providing those so that we can grow more food and export what we need.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, agriculture and education. What will your policy be?
With respect to education, my policy will be about making sure that we have an education system that's culturally sensitive and geared towards technology. Technology is the wave of the future. When I say culturally sensitive, for example, learning to read, we can hear our young people will hear sumo and tufo play in the rain. And that's culturally sensitive because all of us play in the rain. And what it does is that it gives our young people a sense of identity and nationalism when they should be nationalistic. And I'm not talking xenophobia here. I'm simply saying we have to have an education system that allows our children to appreciate the uniqueness of our culture, even though we should also be internationalists. Then we talk about technology. And all these are part of my platform, so I would love for you to fact check me. We talk about technology because we live in a world of technology. So we have to have our people educated, our curriculums geared towards technology. The greatest resource that this nation has, I'm on record, is our people. Not even our land, it's our brains, our talent. And that's what I'm all about, developing each and every one of our people, young people, all of you here. Want youth journalists to become Pulitzer Prize winners. Want you lawyers to be renowned. And whoever else you are, whatever you do to make sure that we support you. With respect to agriculture, number one, we have to, the first thing, there will be a few food scarcity in the future, we know that. So we have to make sure that every single acre that we yield, we make sure that we have the highest yield on the planet for whatever we grow. We have the ability to grow everything. So, but our policy has to make sense. Now, the global, I will be focused more on the global economy than even on the local economy. And in my last minute, if Clarence allows me a last minute here, I want to say this. When we focus on the global economy, you're talking about trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. Our local economy is minuscule. You automatically grow enough rice and grow enough everything for your local economy. But don't sit and waste time just on the local economy. That doesn't push us in the future that we need. Focus on the global economy. Under my leadership, I can tell people this, apart from the fact that you are going to grow and thrive, and the country is going to thrive. You, Liberians, each and every one of you here today, your lives will change considerably because I'm safeguarding, I'm putting in the safeguards to make sure that when the economy booms, that you rise with the economy. The worst thing that can happen before Clarence talks and kicks me out is for the economy to rise and then the people fall. We don't want that. So with respect to agriculture, that's where I am. Thank you.
Kennedy Brown, that's a good strategy to keep you talking, but unfortunately I'm not a timekeeper. Tiawan Singh Gonglu, agriculture and education.
I said a little bit about agriculture earlier. In the 1800s, Liberia exported rice. Up to 1950, Liberia did not import rice. But then the young people who were involved in farming left for the rubber plantations, the mining, then people went to school and all of that. So we mechanized agriculture by, like I said earlier, giving farming machines to the farmers in the 15 counties through the farmers cooperatives, and it will be done on loan through the Revitalized Agriculture and Cooperative Development Bank. This will also create a lot of jobs. Education, we will provide free education from kindergarten, free compulsory and quality education from kindergarten to 12th grade. We will have free technical and vocational school in the 15 counties for people to learn the different trades, mechanic, tailoring, all of that. And then we eliminate illiteracy in 2 years. How? By giving stipend to students from 7th grade to college level to teach at least 10 illiterate persons in the community every day after school. So this is what we do in the area of education and agriculture. Thank you.
Let's hear you.
The former president of Cote d'Ivoire, hopefully 1 year, said a nation that cannot feed itself is not independent or it's not free. So I really can't say Liberia is a free country because right now we are feeding ourselves. When I am president, I will influence policy that will suggest that we become a nation that feeds itself. And no Liberian should be hungry in a country where we have all these land where we can grow food and the grass is green all year round. So here's my plan. Here's how I'm going to do it. Myself, I'm an agriculture student also. Graduated from the Booker Washington Institute, and I did agriculture, so I'm in farming as well. Here's what I intend to do. We will regionalize food production. We will divide the country up into regions, and we will ask each of the regions to form agricultural cooperatives. And these agricultural cooperatives will have farm implements that will be given to them, like one of my colleagues said, on a loan basis, and they will produce. Region 1, if you are producing cassava, Region 2 will be producing rice, Region 3 will be producing whatever we will be producing. And we will help the farmers locate the market. We will create a system where the farmers will not have to look for market after they grow the food. We will make sure there is a way they can sell their produce. We will move our agriculture from subsistence farming to mechanized farming. That's the way forward. Technology. So we do agree. On education, I have said from the beginning, and I say again, this country does not have a good foundation. Countries that have good foundations are built upon honesty, integrity, obedience to the rule of law, hard work, and so on. As a policy in education, we will look at our curriculum and make sure that ethics and morality are taught from grade 1 to university. We are having a lot of people graduating with university degrees. They got the paper, they got capacity, but they don't have character. And we don't want to keep producing people that lack character. This is the issue we have in Liberia. We got too many people with credentials, they got no morals, they got no character. So we will make sure ethics is taught. University education will not be free, but we will introduce student loans.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Can I cut education and agriculture?
So agriculture, like I said earlier, we had a privilege to send 4 of our policies to India to meet with our partners. And while there, they were able to see a lot of things, like I'm telling you about India. The population is 1.4 billion, but they try to sell food to us in other parts of Africa. Why? Because the government gave seeds. They gave seeds to farmers. And then they buy the food from the farmers and they sell it to the slavery at an affordable price. So like I said, we're not going to bring them here to do it for us, but they can teach us. We're not going to send students overseas to learn. They will come here. Most people send them overseas, they don't come back. But you can bring someone here and have more people talk here than to send a few people over. So we'll be able to have people do mechanized farming. Like even corn. We have 10% of our gasoline is from ethanol. We have good soil here. We can put that into practice. So we have a lot of these people. Look around. Even, Robert, we have Firestone here. Been here since 1927 or 29, whatever it is. We didn't have a rubber band factory here. So our priority will be on Liberian people and how Liberia can become self-sufficient in these agricultural products. So once the program will be able to incentivize the farmers as well, give them tools. If you pay more people or give them a lot more assistance in other countries, more people want to go to become farmers. And then for education, because of time, we told ourselves we will have teachers in the class, not scholars. So what do you mean? Teachers are people who go through training. They have the requisite ability or requirement to teach. Scholars in the class are people who come from university. They have degree, and because there is lack of teachers that go in the classroom. We don't have that training. We're not going to have that. We will have trained people teaching our children. Someone asked me, I said, we don't believe in. Our priority is on primary education. So, and one thing we're going to do to live in other countries, we see other people whose children growing very well. Like if you don't send a child to school in America, the government takes you either to court or to jail. What can we do here? Look around. Our brothers, little kids selling coconut, cookies everywhere. Make it mandatory for them to go to school. Few months ago, the president of Ghana gave laptop to all the high school children. Technology. Get them involved. You can't have a high school student, most of them will not be able to operate a computer. So we want to be able to invest in our children. Invest in our youth, give us a better future. So we want to be able to have that primary education. Before parents cut me off. Thank you. So we're going to do that.
Time is over. Thank you. Let's go to Kennedy Chef Koyate, the man, bossman. Kennedy Koyate, education and agriculture.
So let me begin with agriculture, since we don't have much time. I will just give you a hint of what we have in accordance to our party. Agriculture. One, investment in agriculture. That is our first agriculture in improving it.
Go ahead, let me go ahead.
Access to finance and inputs. 3, extension services. And 4, that is something thank you. Change. So when it comes to agriculture, Liberia First Movement has a plan. And in our Liberian English, I will just say, go this way. Firstly, we go to the youth. We want to encourage young people to get involved into agriculture. So what we look forward to train them, encourage them, well, the government will be able to provide them support to ensure that the young people can enter. Secondly, when it comes to national security, we also have a program where, as my senior brother stated, we have the same to support the agricultural sector of the army, likewise in engineering sectors of the army and other security sectors, to provide them support, equipment, and other things where they produce food and the army begin to feed itself. When it comes to education, we focus on primary education. Nowadays, most people will have PhD, master degrees, but when you ask them what they have master degree for 10 years ago, don't think that they got master degrees for 10 years ago and no useful today. So we ensure that innovation, TVET, to encourage our young people and the citizens of this country to make them useful and resourceful. We will encourage every Liberian to have access to modern education through technology. Government will be able to support the improvement of education and not the improvement of agriculture. Because in agriculture, we cannot be on outsiders to feed us, as stated by my friend. But what we do, when we support farmers, provide them means to have credit, not to give them free things, provide them means to have credit, to have access to equipment. I do believe that every Liberian can play part and make sure to help in this sector. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, candidate Dr. Clarence Manuba. Agriculture, education.
Again, thank you for the opportunity to be able to talk about what we want to do for our country. I think it's very clear that pretty much everybody's policies cover the same thing. We must be self-sufficient in our staple food of rice. We have to ensure that every single county in this country will be responsible to grow something for the people of Liberia to eat. Liberia must be able to feed Liberians. We are clear on that. We also have to be able to understand from an educational standpoint that every single high school graduate in this country, they must have technical and vocational training. For us at the Liberian National Union, we say they must have 2 years of technical and vocational training. But in addition to that, we have to redefine and rebuild the foundation of the Liberian people in this country. From pre-K, first grade to fourth grade, those are the most important times of anybody's educational career. Right now, we have our second graders with no school feeding program, no blackboard, no computers, no desks, no chairs. But at the end of the day, all of us want a better education for the people of Liberia. All of us want to be self-sufficient in our staple food of rice. The question we should be asking is, who do we trust to be able to deliver on this promise? A lot of times in Liberia, we say, oh, now the politicians that come here give. Because a lot of people talk about what they want to do, but they have no record of actually doing it. I'm proud to say that I've helped to negotiate hundreds of millions of dollars in this country in agriculture, in infrastructure development, in technical and vocational training. And I'm glad that everybody will be fact-checked so they can go and look at our records. I'm proud to say that I've gone to school with some of the very people who are leading some of these international institutions. I'm proud to say I've also worked as a consultant to the World Bank, the very place where we'll be going to go get the money. I've worked as a consultant to the African Development Bank. So the idea is, yes, we want self-sufficiency in food. We need to make sure that the young people of this country have technical and vocational training. But we also now have to look at who is going to be implementing. During Ebola, I was blessed to be one of the people who have to go around the world and try to bring businesses back to Liberia when the entire economy collapsed. Who has performed? Who has the connections? Who has the ability, the energy, and the vision to be able to bring these policies forward? I think that's the most important thing when we start to decide who do we want to be president of Liberia. We need to redefine and change. We need a new breed of leadership in this country. We need a new breed of leadership in Liberia. And that's why I'm running for president. And that's why I pray to God that we can have this leadership in this country.
Okay, finally on this subject, candidate Councillor Yofi.
All right, I have spoken Chile. All right, I have spoken.
You watching and listening to Presidential Debate 2023 live from the Cinco Palace Hotel. This program is also on Truth 96.1 FM in Monrovia, and the hosts of all the media institutions are also broadcasting this program live. Let's go back to the podium. It seems to be that they having some problem with microphones in here. So the problem is not from our microphone. Our microphone is perfect now. Is the microphone in the hall.
We've condemned our educational system in this country on grounds our educational system is messy. But we have done nothing to resuscitate our educational. Under the library rebuilding party, on day one in office, we are going to come up with a bill that will be legislated, where we are going to establish the Liberia National Youth Service. Anyone graduating from college, based on that bill that will stick the legislation, that everyone graduating from college was first serve in the Liberia National Youth Service for 2 years before you are allowed to go into any other practice. Why? We want to use these college graduates in our educational system to revamp, to resuscitate, to get our educational program into a proper perspective. How are we going to do that? When they graduate from the university, we're going to give them some preliminary teacher training so that the guy with a degree in physics will be deployed in our school to teach physics. Because we have acknowledged that there are many who are teaching in our schools, in the towns, in the villages, that are far below standard. So we are going to retrieve all of those who are substandard teachers. We are not going to get rid of them. We are going to put them in the where they are going to be supported by government. But then those with graduate degrees, we are going to give them some preliminary teaching training and deploy them into our villages, into our towns, and even in the city, so that we have people with the requisite training in our schools. For example, the guy with a degree in mathematics will be sent to some of our schools to teach mathematics. There is no problem in the elementary school book or junior high or senior high school book. There's going to be a problem for the guy who has a degree in mathematics. So, wherein we have to drop out teaching people in high school, and when he gets to a problem he cannot handle, what he does, he's skipping. But when you have the guy with the requisite credential teaching that particular subject, he's going to do his best, and our children are going to.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you. I'm sorry. Time is not your friend. Will please clap for each of them. We could do, please, let's clap for them. Firstly, thank you. Thank you. We have 3 cross-cutting issues that we'll end on. Few months ago, this country woke up one morning and it was all speculated, first and later, all of us heard that what was, if not the biggest drug bust in our country, we heard about $100 million worth of cocaine that was confiscated. It depends on who you talk to, but a lot of people think $100 million is at least 5-6% of our national budget. It's whether it was not Moringa tea, and then our friends and our partners from the United Nations Organization on Drug and Crime did a scientific test, and the result shows something terrible. As we speak, just this morning, I was talking to the head of corporate communication at the RIA, and he said, the chief of security has been suspended for time indefinite with one other person as the investigation continues. Let's talk about each of you. These things seem to be killing it appears to me as though we are losing a whole generation to drug. What's going to be your policy? What will you do differently? How will you engage this issue to the extent that maybe a year or two after your presidency, we would have seen a different picture to say, yes, President Brown, President Gonglo, President Appleton, whoever, I think that this administration means business. Let's talk about drug and the way you will get rid of it. 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. It is evident that drug abuse has become endemic in our country. And there are a lot of information of how this issue has taken over our communities and taken over our citizens. As part of my administration, as part of our national policy, we will declare war on drugs. We will declare war on drugs. And as a matter of fact, this is going to be a part of our 100-day plan. We must ensure that we can have a regulatory framework. We must enhance the drug enforcement agency. This goes back to the very issue of corruption. If people are not well paid, then the likelihood of them taking little money to have these kinds of national security issues become endemic in our country is bad. So we have to go back to ensure that there are people with integrity, like my colleague stated. We need these people as part of our national lives. You cannot have the chief of security at the RIA who is in fact a conduit to drug entering our country. So as part of our national policy, our first 100 day, I am going to declare war on drugs. We are going to have a national framework on drugs of how we can ensure that we punish those involved.
What would that framework be?
This is the framework. The framework will enhance that there will be no drugs, no one, no company whatsoever will be allowed to
I'm sorry, we're out of time. Thank you.
On the 18th of August, I was at the largest ghetto in Monrovia, where I met with the disadvantaged youth, those who are affected most by drugs. I'm on record to say that I believe that the biggest problem affecting this nation is exactly the drugs. I think it's larger than Ebola and COVID combined, because it affects the youth, and the youth are the future. So if you want to destroy a nation, destroy the youth. I met with them, and honestly, I saw a lot of promise in them, which I told them I would rehabilitate them. There's a guy named Pastor Nuno that works, and he's been doing a phenomenal job. I'm going to appoint him as my drug czar. He will rehabilitate them. They love him. He's worked with them. They understand him. I will resource him. That'll give him an opportunity to do what he's already been doing, and he's been doing it for a number of years. I will also work with our international partners to make sure that we patrol the borders, because that's what it'll take. Moreover, I will resource in-house facilities as well as outpatient facilities. So we're talking about political will, we're talking about economic will, we're talking about social will. And I want to be clear. I consider the drug pandemic, I consider it a pandemic. I consider it the #1 problem threatening the future of this nation. And my policy is quite clear. Thank you.
Councillor Gonglo.
I think the issue of rehabilitation of the young people is something that everybody agrees on. It's on plan, on the LPP plan. We rehabilitate and give skills to drug affected youth to re-enter society as productive citizens. But that's the real threat. The real threat is on the supply side. So we were strengthening security at the borders. We will have people, intelligent people, checking on those who work at different border points, house feet, ports, and all of that. The issue really is not the question of pay, because no one can say that the security, chief of security at all if you're not well paid. Corruption, there's no justification for corruption. In Kenya, Mwai Kibaki decided that he will increase the salary of everybody and that will reduce corruption. Kenyan ministers became the highest paid, $20,000 a month. And then Kenya State became, was among the 10 most corrupt countries in the world. So let's not go to that issue. Issue is law, rule of law, combating corruption, having clear strategy for fighting corruption. We have a 1 count prescription for combating corruption. And that begins with putting everybody's salary, including the president's salary, everybody on the internet, including law enforcement officers, and reducing the salaries of people in a higher up, except the judiciary, the legislature, and people in the executive, and increase the salary of teachers, law enforcement officers, the health workers, and the civil servants. And then we'll monitor them. Thankfully, I was part of the witness protection and the act. I have to draft that act that will help people give information and be protected when they're giving information. So basically, we should handle the supply side, because the drugs are not here, the young people will not use the drugs. So having said that, I just want to zero in back. I think I got a few seconds.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Councilor Gonglo. Kennedy, come on.
When DPPL is giving an opportunity to lead this country, we will influence policy that will make it criminal to sell drugs or to bring drugs. Whether you bring the drug or you sell it, you have it with you in the community. If you are arrested, Liberia is going to be a drug-free zone.
It's already criminal and it's not criminal.
But we are going to enforce the laws. That's what I'm saying. We got to look at the issue of building the foundations of this country again. Foundation of honesty, hard work, integrity, obedience to the rule of law. Let's strengthen the law enforcement arm and clean up the judicial system and make sure we got judges that will do what they need to do when people are arrested, for doing these things. I will make sure that people who are caught and it's proven, they will bear the full weight of the law. Liberia will be a drug-free zone, and those with deviant behavior will be punished. Once we begin to punish people and other people see it, we really take action, people will be afraid. And then, of course, we will rehabilitate our young people. But those who bring in drugs, we must be serious about punishing them.
Okay, I want to call it as a CK.
In our in the college administration, there are people who will do differently. Bible says in Ecclesiastes chapter 8:11, it says, if you don't punish crime, you tell everyone it's okay to commit crime. So we already have laws on the books to do that. We will impose that. Number two, we will have a special presidential task force to make sure that those doing the work, that they're doing that work. We have in that we'll have a monitoring and evaluation a team around that. But importantly, what we'll do differently, I'm from a healthcare background. I've spent 20 years in healthcare. We will make sure every month there's a drug test. Everyone. Why did we come up with this? I went in the community. I've been meeting a lot of our disadvantaged brothers, and they told us that.
You said every Liberian. Is that what you mean?
No, I've met most of them. Thank you for the correction.
Correction. I'm just asking you.
Yes. So I've met most of our disadvantaged brothers and sisters. But this one to tell of this, and I thought somebody said, well, the government has appointed people who are considered informers, like when they are arrested over and over and over, the government makes them drug informers. So how do you give monkey a banana? They're going to eat it. So those who are doing the thing, they are all in the hood together. So we make sure we have a monthly drug test. So if you fail that consecutively 2 or 3 times, we remove you out of the post. And we'll be able to treat other people in the post and put it there. So the drug test for every law enforcement officer should be a primary goal for us. We will do that. And we'll also be able to, with also rehabilitation is also another part. Not just to leave them out there. It's very embarrassing to see our brothers. So we'll try to rehabilitate them.
Thank you, candidate colleague. Let's move on. Chef Koyate.
You know, the issue of the drugs, the case at the airport. Before that happened, I saw a post from a senior member of the government. He stated, UP supporter, we are Brokosh. CDC supporter, then Boaka took it. ANC, I see why he states. The foreign day, a senior officer, chief security officer at the RIA, was caught with drugs. That is an indication that this government has endorsed the consumption of drugs, has endorsed it has endorsed the entry of illicit drugs in our country. That is why 100 million worth of drugs was caught in this country, red-handed, and the government lost the case. I share Priyate, not just as a presidential candidate. I have evidence when the government is also selling diplomatic passports to drug dealers. And when you look around this country, you realize that 65% of the population are young people. Imagine when you view social media, you see young people saying, give a push, give a push. That has become a slogan for campaign. This is scary. We do have laws, but what needs to be done to put stop to this? We need a reform in the judicial system. Our judicial system, I'm sorry, lawyers, I'm sorry to those who are in the judicial system, but it's weakened. The justice system in this country has to be strengthened. We need a reform, a total reform, and that is the only way we can tackle it. Secondly, we also need to empower the young people by giving them skill. Most young people graduate from universities, they go home, they have no job. You are told to have 2 years job experience. There's no chance of getting a job when we have that 2 year job experience. It's difficult. Thank you so much.
Dr. Manu.
Again, thank you for the opportunity to be able to express what we think and how we think we should all be moving our country forward. Similar to what we talked about with the agricultural sector, I don't think anybody here would sit here and say drugs is not killing the young people of this country. I don't think anybody would sit here and say they would encourage drugs. So again, we need to look at the character and the ability and the background of each of the individuals here running for president and saying that they want to be able to uplift and transform the country. At the end of the day, if somebody is on drugs, we have to, even if we go back to the $100 million that was seized a few months ago, nobody is in jail. How do you expect drugs to stop coming to the country when $100 million came to this country and nobody went to jail?
The government said it was a case.
That's what they say. Fine. But at the end of the day, the $100 million did not come here by mistake. It didn't appear here. Somebody brought it. So when we talk about the judiciary, when we talk about security and the rule of law, we need to ensure that $100 million was brought here by somebody. So again, the thing about, we'll fight drugs, we'll fight corruption, we have to look at the individuals. That's why I continue to go back and when I talk to the people of Liberia, I'm very clear. We need a new breed of leadership in this country. A new breed of leadership. The reason I'm running for president is simply because enough people in Liberia have said enough is enough. We have young people who are on drugs. They will not be on drugs or in your window fishing for your phone at 3 in the morning if they have a skill and opportunity to wake up at 6 in the morning and go be a carpenter, go be a plumber. We have to be able to take people who are on drugs to put them in rehabilitation centers and be able to give them a skill. And the people who are selling drugs or bringing drugs into the country, they must go to jail. Similar to that of corruption. People who steal the Liberian people's money must go to jail.
Thank you. Last Candidate Councillor Yofi, 2 minutes. We'll follow you closely.
Thank you very much. Sometimes people use people's ideas without giving credit to them in this country. I don't have problem when you use my idea because you heard me speaking on the radio and you use my idea, but I didn't give me the credit. When I go this way, to fight drugs in this country, we are going to do 3 major things. One, we are going to re-evaluate the policy on drugs to institute the necessary reform. 2, we are going to re-examine the gatekeepers of drugs. Number 3, we are going to rehabilitate the users of drugs. Now let me go into it. Our policies on drugs in this country are very, very archaic and wicked. Sometimes we confiscate drugs. What happens? Not yet. All right. Sometimes we confiscate drugs. But what happens? We wait for 3 or 4 months.
There's a little bit of delay with the microphone there, but I think it's okay now.
At the end of the day, we come to destroy. Sometimes what they destroy is not the actual drug, but something that looks like it. We are going to change that policy. Another thing we're going to do, we are going to examine the gatekeepers. That is to say, those who are called drug enforcement officers. Whether did we subject them to drug test? If those who are responsible to prevent drugs from entering the country are drug users themselves, how do you fight against drugs? So we are going to have a policy where we re-examine them, we subject them to drug testing every quarter. Because if you are a drug user, you cannot enforce.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, sir.
I'm not saying anything. Thank you so much.
Please clap for them. And it's wonderful interaction here with all these politicians. They've come from different backgrounds, religion, lawyer, culture, and backgrounds. This is a very wonderful interaction. It is your time, but unfortunately, we will take at least 4 questions. We might not be able to take questions from everybody in the hall. Please let your question be concise and policy issue. If you attack anybody's person, we'll cancel the question. We need to elevate our discussions. We need to elevate our discussion, please. So, you will put your hand up, we'll recognize you, they will get the mic to you. You will ask a particular candidate, or if it's all the candidates, no problem. So, we're waiting. I can't see the hand of any woman. Let me take you right. So you just call your name and ask your question.
My name is Victor, very good, and my question goes to Dr. Larry Maliba. Dr. Maliba, I really want to know, because in and because we say righteous, we can see people who study out to lie to people. So when you really meant righteous, you said you got your PhD in righteous, so I really want to know this.
One hand up, way behind there. Yeah, just ask. The first 2, then they will respond.
Thank you. My name is George Mugo, and I report from East TV, Liberia.
My question goes to. My question goes to all of them. This debate was organized by Troop FM, talk show presenter, State of the Nation, and is open to all of the presidential candidates. How each one of you here to review, most especially when the incumbent is not a part of such a debate.
Question objected. Obviously, the Nafili group, let's ask policy question about some of the issues. The incumbent, he decided not to come. Okay, that's okay. Yeah. Let's see another. I'm sorry, but for me, that's not. Everybody, you ask each of the people to say we wish you were here. So I want to ask something. We can take another hand. Yeah, you're right. Second question.
Let me say good afternoon to all of our presenters for today's program. My name is Sam Tawe Tamba. I'm a graduate of the AME University graduate program. One thing that I've come to realize that in peace development is culture, and that culture comes in light with results of our politicians. That is to say, many of you have presented very good platforms to the Liberian people. My question is, in the event of probability that you do not win the presidency, what will be your next action regarding your platform? Thank you.
Dr. Monova, in what did you say you earned your PhD, sir?
Thank you for that question. Again, thank you very much for that question. I think the issue of education, as we talk about, uplifting the country is so important. For me, for my academic career, I've been blessed. I continue to say I've been blessed to have had several academic scholarships. My first master's was in international relations. My second master's was from Harvard Kennedy School for Public Administration. And my PhD was in rhetoric and political professional communications. So what that means, and so why I think it's so important, because Liberian people sometimes will say, oh, rhetoric, that's sweet talk. No, it's the ability to be able to negotiate on behalf of the people of Liberia. All of these things we're talking about, foreign direct investments, is because you need leadership that will be able to walk into any room and be able to talk on behalf of the people of Liberia. And so rhetoric and professional political communications, the art of persuasion. We need to persuade the people of the world to come to Liberia to invest.
So his PhD rhetoric and communication is in the context of persuasion. The candidates, each of you, he's asking, if you didn't win, for example, what do you do with all the good things you say?
Well, of course, I will win, right?
1 minute at least.
Okay, look, what I will tell you is this. If I didn't win, one thing for sure is I would take a position. I won't be someone who would just say, oh, I didn't win, and just go in a corner. I will be taking a position, meaning that I will be supporting someone, me and my party.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. In the event we did not win, we will continue our social development efforts. We will continue to be strong advocates for the kinds of social change we want to see in the country in terms of education, healthcare, infrastructure development. We want to ensure that we can advocate for women empowerment, inclusion, and participation. We also want to ensure that we can provide basic education, skill-based education for our youth, and ensure they can become productive citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Mangolo.
If I don't win, I can sit on my 10-point agenda for better Liberia on the internet. Will be available, and whoever wins and wants me to help him or her explain how to implement the 10-point agenda will be available. And I'll be leading from outside, participating in the governance of our country as I've always done.
Thank you. Next.
In the event that So whoever is going to be leading and needs my support, I will lend my expertise because service to the nation is more important than occupying a specific office. And we will continue to do our democracy projects at our various political party headquarters around the country, some of which include computer programs for kids, microfinance for women, programs for farmers. We will continue to do those activities.
Thank you. Connie.
So just before I answer, I'm going to say this, knowledge is never monopolistic. So it's naive for any of us to think we have one own. Our points are all intertwined. So don't put that out there. So in case we don't win, I'm a Liberian, I will give my quota, whatever we have. Check us on www.rncliberia.com. We have our platform there. But I will work as a Liberian. I'm here to work. I will give my service to whoever is there. When they leave, I will answer the call.
It is by the way of the Liberian people, another president chosen as the president of this country. Liberia First Movement will continue to pursue for justice and accountability. We continue to support any government coming in place, but we ensure that in working review, the World Economic Crime Code must be in the government agenda.
Thank you. You know, in 2004, I made the commitment to be able to be one of the people to transform Liberia. And so we have Moneyback Foundation, which is, we're making it one of the biggest foundations in the country. That's what we're going to continue to do, win or lose. There's no property outside of this country. We don't have any businesses outside of this country. We are here in Liberia. We'll continue to ensure that Liberia is better tomorrow than what we have today.
Councillor.
Thank you very much. I work as a lawyer. I don't have to work in any government. In the event that I lose, I will be willing to share my ideas with the next government. And if they want, I can do an entire policy breakdown of my platform and hand over to them. But in the event they want me to work with them, I will also be willing to do that. Thank you very much.
Okay. 2 questions.
Hi everyone, my name is Diamond Figgins Ashong. My question goes to Mr. Brown. What makes your party platform and policy different from other candidates? Because Dr. Moniba said all of you guys have the same platform, similar platforms.
So the final question will come from here. You know, then will take you on the same line. So let's take our final question from right here. What? Others, Mr. Brown.
Thank you so much. And it's an opportunity. My name is Lawrence Liu, and I work for Accountability Lab, and we are focused on governance and accountability issues across the country. I have a question. I think my question is going to go across the floor. First thing I want to know, the question on security. I noticed that all of you tend to respond to the question, but I didn't hear much about security sector reform and the governance of the security sector in ways that you didn't include. Most of you emphasized the police. You didn't talk much about the military, in as much as we are having coup d'etat across the sub-region. What does that mean for stability of Liberia, given the list of bad governance in this country at the moment? You also didn't mention and emphasize the LDA, even though you talk about the drug issue, you didn't tie it as a national security issue, as it affects the generations to come that will be functionally, maybe sit in your seats and have some of these debates at a cogent level. And then once you say that, I want you to emphasize that the rule of law doesn't just move towards execution, but rule of law starts from the principles of the rule of law, which I will just say but 3 quickly. Inclusion. What does that mean for you as if you were to be president? That we are having some community of persons living with disability, especially deaf, and a person with hearing impairment. That our national conversation, even as we are having now, we don't have interpreter for that. What does that mean of excluding that whole community? I didn't hear any of you talk about that principle. I didn't hear you emphasize the principle of integrity as a pursue and is emphasizing on your role as president in this country. My second question, which is emphasizing on this, quickly, which is around the establishment of war and economic crime code. I mean, we have past crimes, the accountability for such crimes, and people are just passing around here. What would you individually do clearly around war and economic crimes code, not in theory, but practical approaches that you would take? Thank you very much.
We said he was the last, but we have to take her because she my ask. So
I got this question for our candidates. Given the current economic situation, given the current economic situation, what action could you take to improve it?
All right, so Mr. Brown, you will answer your question.
Question because it was directed to you. What makes your policies different from the others? And then war crimes code, practical steps, tie security into
All right, so
you can answer your personal question and the others.
Okay.
And the other questions.
All right. So the first thing.
So let's take at least 2 minutes each, please.
All right. So with respect to the question asked, my policies are unique, and in many ways, it's forward-thinking and far-reaching. Number one, my platform is to restore the nation to God. The Bible is very clear. If the Lord doesn't build a house, the builders labor in vain. There's no platform that I know of that speaks about that. Number two, I'm talking about the children. Creating an environment of love, of innocence, of integrity, responsibility and discipline, not only for children today, but for children that are unborn and generations to come. Broken children become broken adults build a broken society. Number three, youth empowerment for women with respect to anything you want to do, your passion, whether you're a musician or you're a plumber, whether you're an artist or you're a carpenter, whether you're an intellectual or you're a poet. We're interested in you, and we're interested in providing opportunities that will encourage and develop you. My IPP policy, that is an investment property policy. What it does for each and every one of you here, it changes your lives. It changes your lives. I repeat, I'm the only candidate talking about that. That means what? That means that I move you from becoming tenants to becoming landlords because you are a Liberian. All of you. That's how you get it. With respect to how I'm going to acquire funds, I have no interest in donor money. I'm not particularly interested in loans. I'm talking about private sector capital. And to get private sector capital, how you attract it is by creating what? Putting together judges that are competent, have character, and have compassion.
Thank you, sir.
With respect.
The time is over.
I thought you wanted me to go into the next question or no.
Let's do him. Let's see how it works.
All right.
Let's go to him. All right. War crimes code, that is practical here. What will you do?
Well, it's a touchy issue, and it's very, very important. It is being well documented when a country emerges from violent conflict such as ours. It is very important for transitional justice, and so this is where the war crimes code comes into being.
And as my colleague alluded to, if we don't have justice, there will be no peace. And if we don't have peace, we will not be able to implement all of the policies that we discuss here, because lawlessness erodes confidence in our democracy. So for a war crimes court implemented in the Republic of Liberia for people who have committed heinous crimes and crimes against humanity, it is very important for justice and peace. So as a person and as part of our platform, we wholeheartedly will embrace the idea of a war crimes court in Liberia. Thank you very much.
Clear call. Yeah, let's hear from Brown. War crimes court. Clear. Patrick.
Yeah, my man, relax. I'm very clear. All right, so theoretically, I support the war crime court because I advocate for justice. But the devil's in the detail. What's the composition of the court? Is judicial reform attached to the court? Where will the court be a resident? What will be our part as Liberians? What part do we play in the court? What will be the duration of the court? The one thing I want to be clear about, and thank you for allowing me enough time to say that, is this. We do not want to bring a war crime court here, and then it comes, does its job, and leaves, and our courts are not prepared to resume our sovereign judicial responsibility. That would be a travesty of justice. What we want to make sure is that if we are going to have a war and economic crime court in Liberia, we want to make sure that we have judicial reform attached to that court, so that when they leave, we are able to resume our sovereign judicial responsibility.
Will you establish a war crimes court as president of Liberia?
I answered the question very clearly to you.
I
said, oh yes, I did. You're the one who didn't want to listen. If you listen, you will hear clearly.
So what did you say,
Hey, I told you theoretically, I support a war crimes court. And then I gave you the subjects, the topics of discussion under a war crimes court.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you too.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
I love you too, bro.
Thank you. Councilor Gonglo.
So my view on establishing a war
No, he won't play around.
He won't play around. I'm one of those who drafted the law of establishing war crimes court before the legislature. We get the order in 3 counties. They are not acting. So as president, I will use my presidential power to persuade the legislature to actually pass the law. Because in this country, when the president wants something happen, every president, George Weah was interested in establishing a war economic crimes court. And it's a very good law because the Gambians covered from our law as the legal expert invited to look at their law on the Jamming area atrocities that were committed. I saw 16 photos from the Nigerian Trump and felt proud. That's something that we did. So we want to establish the economic crimes court, and they think that the law must be passed, and we'll make sure it happens. That's on the economic war, economic crimes court. He asked another question about. We asked about the question, right? Yeah. He asked about the security sector. I think everything is, corruption is a threat to everything, to security, to development. If, that we talk about even logistics being provided to law enforcement. Sometimes people at the top eat their money. I remember when I was Solicitor General, one deputy director of police could not account for $4,000. No, this isn't sufficient. It will not be sufficient for them. With dismiss people, will prosecute them, and they will count for what, and then that will bring some.
Thank you, Councilor Gonglo. Tom, next person. Let's move on.
I believe strongly that we need to establish the war crimes court in Liberia. Simply because I believe we need to bring closure to the ugly past. Those who have shed blood and killed our citizens innocently, they need to face the full weight of the law. Those who have committed economic crimes need to go to court. We need the thing here, the war crimes court. We need it here. I believe in discipline, accountability, and we must establish this country on the foundation of discipline, accountability, the rule of law, obedience to all of these. So yes, I support the establishment of the war crimes or economic crimes court in Liberia, and as president, I am going to fund it. We will find the money, and we will train the personnel, and we will get that thing working, and people who are guilty will go to jail.
Corey.
So just a little correction. I'm a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So on our platform number 30, there is a posted there for re-establishing law for people in the bar. Just to be that correct. So back to the question. I am in favor of establishing the court of war crimes and in our nation. But this is why I tell people, my employer should in case I become the president come October 10, 2023, my employer will be Liberian people. So if you want it, I will do it. But you have to work with me. So you need to vote lawmakers.
What do you personally think about it?
That's why I say I am in favor. But if you have lawmakers around me who oppose it, it could be a problem. So, for example, I'm not in terms of Prince Johnson, but if you will pass law or support something like that, no. So I'm asking you to support our candidate from the former National Congress. They are in line with me, so we'll be able to pursue that. So I'm for it. Four lawmakers around me will do that. The second question, just shortly, we go around campaigning, and I tell people, other countries, like the governor of Texas, he's handicapped, he's in a wheelchair. There are a lot of even the congressional man he's out now from Rhode Island to Lake. He was in a wheelchair. There are a lot of places. So we'll make it mandatory that businesses around here will definitely have handicap access ability to their facilities, and we'll also be able to create some awareness of disability is not disadvantage. It should not be our.
Thank you, sir. That's it.
On my administration as president of Liberia, my first 100 days, the good news is that our international partners has informed us that there is funding for establishing a World Economic Crime Code. The other good news is communication I was sent legislature some times ago. 53 members of the current legislature agreed for establishment. My administration will ensure the establishment in the first 100 days. In the absence of justice and accountability, democracy is useless. The second question, our brother eyes, you mentioned the police, but nobody talked about security reform. When Liberia first movements spoke about judicial reform, that includes security reform. That is in totality. We mentioned it. And when it comes to coup d'etat, I do not believe that the army we have today is prepared for coup d'etat. And the reason why most people do not mention the army because the army might be enjoying more than the police. So we will continue to exercise on the police because they are always with us. Whatever happens, the police are always present. Then let me ask a question. What will we do differently?
No, that question was not to you. It was to Kennedy Brown. We wanted to know about his manifesto and how is it different from every one of you.
There was another question regarding the economy. What will we do?
From you? What was your question? Okay.
What? And what needs to be done about that?
To everyone.
Yes.
No, go ahead. Answer.
And what can we do as leader of this country, president of this country, representing the Liberia First Movement? The first thing is that we're going to have an inclusive government. We ensure that all those in this government, past government, that they will be prosecuted. That's what we want to World Economic Crime Code. The difference will be that they will be prosecuted for crimes committed, economic crimes committed during this regime. In the regime of Madam Salih, the regime by other people, when that happens, the next government will see that as something to avoid corruption or whatever that will cause injury to people.
Dr. Manuba.
Again, thank you for the opportunity. I think it's very clear that the majority of Liberian people want a war economic crimes court because they deserve it. I said earlier that the challenge and the problem we have in this country is that we do not implement and we do not hold people accountable. But we'll also have to be very clear, this is also political season. And so for the majority of the people who want one economic crimes court, I saw a report that said over 80% of the people in this country want an war economic crimes court. We have to be clear which administrations and which political parties will not implement the war economic crimes court. Let us be very clear. The CDC-led government is not going to implement the war economic crimes court. It's proven by the officials who were sanctioned. There was no investigations made. It's been silent, and some of them are now running on the CDC ticket. So we know a war economic crimes court is not going to happen. Also, when you look at the UP, look at the individuals who are now supporting it at the highest of levels. Do you truly believe that war economic crimes court will happen? So at the end of the day, we sit here and everybody says, oh yeah, war economic crimes court. We must have a war economic crimes court. Every single government official, including my officers, must be audited so that we can finally move on and start holding people of Liberia accountable to the people of Liberia. So yes, absolutely. The Liberian National Union and my administration, along with Grace Pond, will enforce source of funding to establish a war economic crimes court. But for the people who are going to be voting, if you want a war economic crimes court, you have to understand who you are supporting. So thank you very much.
Councillor Yofi.
I'm an independent. I take a controversial position and I defend it. I cannot address this question in 2 minutes. If you want me to address it, you can give me 5 minutes because I have a very contrary view.
And tell me 2 minutes, sir. Let's see.
In this country 30 years ago. You want to punish people for crimes committed during the war after 30 years. 20 years ago, I wanted the war crimes court. 50 years ago, I wanted it. 10 years ago, I wanted it. 5 years ago, I began to think differently. Today, my opinion is totally different. Why? To properly analyze the situation of the war crime code, we got to understand the theory of punishment. Under the theory of punishment, there are two schools of thought: the utilitarian and the retributive. No time.
One more minute,
no time. I'm going to get it to the point. Human beings are not static in behavior. They are dynamics. People do change after a period of time. Many of those who perpetrated mayhem during the war have changed over a period of time. There is an adage that says, justice delayed is justice denied. I believe if we go ahead with the establishment of the war crime code now, 30 years after the completion of crime, it is going to create more harm than good.
You see, you've done well. One answer. Thank you. You see, you talk this, and you spoke as if 10 minutes. Clap for all of them. Let's now provide the opportunity for these candidates to interact with one another. Put your hands up if you have questions. You ask question to a particular person, and the person will respond. It is your time. Let's see who's going to go. If you don't have questions for a particular candidate, that's okay. Yes, let's go to Appleton. Probably you want to ask somebody.
I would like to ask my colleague a question. Thank you very much for speaking elaborately about your position on the war crimes code. We have a different position on that
because 200 plus thousand people, Liberians, ordinary people, men, women, and children, families, were killed during the Liberian Civil War. Some of these people, the families, may be here in this very room today. Some people, because of the death of the family members, they fled the country that they love. Some people are still in exile. Some of our families, our children are still in refugee camps. And as you correctly alluded to, as a man of the law, now I grew up in a family of law because my own father was a lawyer, and Honorable Gongro here worked along with him at one point in his life. And you emphatically stated there will be no justice, there will be no peace, except there will be justice. So no justice, no peace. And so in terms of the War Crimes Court, why do you believe, you have another opportunity to tell us why you believe that implementing the War Crimes Code will not afford the people whose parents, whose fathers, whose mothers and children were killed, will not provide the very justice that you stand for? Thank you.
Thank you. In short, why do you now see the establishment of the court differently?
Thank you very much. I prefer to stand at this time. I have an alternative to the War Crimes Code. But mind you, as President of the Republic of Liberia, I will listen to what the people say. Whatever they want, that's what we will do. But this is my idea of caution. The procrastination in establishing the War Crimes Code is where my opinion has shifted. A man committed crimes 30 years ago. There is an adage in law that says, justice delayed is justice denied. 30 years ago, the crime was committed. And as I said, he won't do change over a period of time. Now let me give you an example. There is a major perpetrator of atrocities during the war called Podnegin. He confessed that he killed lots of people. But look at him today. 30 years later, he is an advocate of justice. He's reforming the lives of other people. Today, he has more than 100 disadvantaged youth in his program that he's rehabilitating out of his own pocket. He's providing shelter to. He's creating opportunity for them to excel in life. Then you come today and arrest him after 30 years and say you want to prosecute him for crimes he committed 30 years ago. These are the misconceptions that we have. One, majority of the people he's promised today to become better citizens in life, they didn't see the crimes he committed 30 years ago. What they are seeing today are the good deeds that are coming out of him. And then you handcuff him, and then they ask, what has he done? Oh, 30 years ago he committed a crime. But why didn't you prosecute him 30 years ago? The first confusion you will create, those people who are benefiting from him will become the first group of people to begin to speak against you. That man is our benefactor today, and you are taking him away based on crimes he committed 30 years ago. Who takes care of us?
Thank you, sir.
That's number one.
Thank you, sir. The reason is okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I apologize. We have to be time conscious. Thank you. Yeah. Kennedy, come on.
Thank you, sir. My question goes to Dr. Moniba and Lawrence. Dr. Moniba, you're a very fine gentleman, and I want to thank you for your contributions to the development of our country. When I was a student leader at PWI, your dad was chairman of our board for the Bobo Washington Institute. So I have a lot of admiration for you and for him as a person. So my condolences to him, my question is, you worked in the solid government, and you were very instrumental in negotiating some of the funds we need for either the hydro or the airport. You look at the terminal we built over there. In your thinking, the money you people negotiated for, is that the terminal standing there? Does that terminal represent that money? And what did you tell the president then? Because you had for years. Did you take some time to give up advice and all of that? Because they got us where we are today.
No, thank you very much for that, and I'm always happy and proud when people, talk about the relationship that they have with Danny. So thank you very much for that. Going directly to the airport terminal, the new airport terminal, and I led the negotiations for that. And so I'm proud of the work we contributed, but let me tell you now, that was negotiated for $50 billion in loans from the Chinese Exim Bank. But what you see there is not $50 billion worth of work. It's very, I won't say, it's embarrassing. Here is what exactly happened. And so this is where twofold. When we negotiated the $50 million, which included the jet bridges, which added another $3 million because it was $1.5 million to add the jet bridges where you can walk from the plane directly to the thing. When we negotiated it, because of our worry that we're going to get good value, we got an independent company from the United Kingdom to do an assessment on the quality of work and what will be produced for $50 million. At that time, the estimate came up to about $47 million. The design that was presented to us was worth $47 million, but when you talk about inflation and the time it would take to negotiate something else, it was looked at best value for the $50 million. So we went ahead. Here's where the problem came in. We were able to build the external side, and we also got an owner's engineer to make sure that the quality of the airport was going to be implemented. We built the outside of the terminal, but not the inside. When we turned over the project to the current administration, that's when the owner's engineers were let go. And so that's where you see the poor quality of product that is currently at the RIA. What you see there is not worth the money that was negotiated. So I always tell people I was proud to have negotiated $50 million for the airport terminal, but I am not proud of the work that was done because no due diligence was done in terms of the quality. Even when you get the baggage, that was absolutely not what was negotiated for.
Thank you.
And it's embarrassing when you see the airport, you see the baggage.
I'm proud I negotiated, but what I see there today is not what I envisaged, what I thought it would be. Colin? Any comment? No, sir. Question, sir. If you don't have question, don't get force you. Well, you're not making comment.
So those who have served the government under obviously Dr. Malva and Councilor Gunglo, we don't have examples, many examples. We're talking about corruption and all these things. I tell people, Mayor Bro is not a minister, Mayor Bro is not a president, Mayor Bro is not a senator, Mayor Bro is not a representative. But today in Liberia, the first time is called Mayor Bro Day. It's supposed to be an example. And that's what I tell people. I love being an example. People who know me from little boy down to now, I'm very principled and an example. So my question for you who have served the government, what example, what change did you bring to the way you serve?
Thank you. John Gunglo, you were Solicitor General, you became Minister of Labor. At least maybe 2 changes wherever you were in government. In fact, you were Special Assistant to Amos Sawyer and all.
Alright, so
You've been around for long.
that's true. As Special Assistant to Amos Sawyer, I drafted the first code of conduct law and sent it to and give it to somebody to send it to legislation. But the interim legislative council assembly did not pass on. It is written. They have a copy of that from the executive assistant to the president. 2, when I served as Solicitor General, I was the first since 1847 to actually recommend that only law school graduates be appointed county attorney. The county attorneys I met them were not law school graduates, some of them were not even high school graduates. So it was the first time in a state the recommendation was accepted, and all 15 county attorneys today are all lawyers. When you make good change, it does not change. I recommended in 2007 that a special unit be set up in the Ministry of Justice for prosecution and rape and sexual violence-based unit. It was accepted, was established. I interviewed the first set of lawyers and employees in that place. And got the venerable Felicia Goma, former Associate Justice, to lead the process. And it's a functioning office today. At the Ministry of Justice, I negotiated with the Open Society Network, because they came to me and said they want to train what kind of attorneys. I said, I don't have trained what kind of attorneys. Give me money to recruit young people and send them to law school so that we can have prosecutors. Thankfully, they agreed. A year later, we sent over 60 students to the law school, get lawyers to the function. At the Ministry of Labor, I believe in liberalization policy and the one legislature I want to do about that. Then I increased the work permit fee for foreigners from $400 to $1,000, and immediately allowing employers lay off the foreign employees because they were to pay $1,000 every year for those employees, and a lot of librarians got charged.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dr. Wanda, you were strategic in the office of the President, Minister of State without portfolio. What did you do there?
You know, I'm always proud to say that there are good Liberians in every single administration. This current administration, there are good, hard-working, committed Liberians working in this administration. Same thing in President Sirleaf's government, same thing in Taylor and Dole and Tubman and so on. And so I'm very proud of my record. I always tell people to look at me and judge me on the record and what I contributed to the development of Liberia when I worked in government. So my part, I was instrumental, and I'm proud to say I was instrumental in several infrastructure development projects because that was my portfolio. One of the 4 people who went to the United States and finalized the negotiation for $250 million that was able to bring my coffee hydro on board. So granted, it does not address all of the electricity problems in Liberia, but at least it's the first step. I'm proud of that. Even when you look at the CLSG line that was just dedicated this past December, by this administration, I'm proud to say I was chairman of LEC when that work began in June of 2017. We helped to finalize the negotiation for that. That is now bringing electricity from Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, and we all share common electricity resources. So I'm proud of that, because that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars to the people of Liberia. I'm also proud to say, when even you look at the ELW, the Coca-Cola road that they are building right now, that should have been completed in 2019. In 2016, when I was head of the President's Delivery Unit, I oversaw and helped with the World Bank to secure $50 million that was used to build that road. Again, that should have been completed by 2019, latest 2020. You go to the Rufa Road from Banga to Salaye. I also helped to oversee the negotiation of that at the final part with the contractors. That road should have been completed in 2020. So there's so many different initiatives and projects we've been able to do. You look at White Plains Water Facility Plant. I helped to oversee the implementation of that now brings water into Monrovia. So again, I will continue to say that there are good Liberians in Liberia who want to see good.
Thank you. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I will take my seat and I will turn this microphone over to the lead organizer of these debates and senior host of the State of the Nation on Truth FM, Mr. Christopher Sirleaf. Thank you very much. It was an opportunity for me.
Thank you very much, Clarence. And one moment in my life I didn't like to see. I happened to cover the last African Union Summit in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea. I'm talking about time. So not only they had a timing program, 15 minutes each African head of state. irrespective of your hygiene, as long as you're in the head of state. And then when our president came on, spoke well within the time. Then Goodluck Jonathan of Nigeria came, started to speak Nigeria's involvement in peacekeeping in Africa, West Africa, and stuff like that. By the time we reach, then the time just it's a countdown from 15 to 0. And then when boom, then he puts his hand up. So no, I'm not finished yet. Then the organizer said, Mr. President, working within the town itself is a demonstration of respecting the rule of law. So they never allowed him to continue because it was a ground rule. So when Clarence, most of the time, reminded the candidates of the time, I was happy that no one said, no, but Clarence, you cut me off. And everyone worked within the time and no one was cut off. Thank you so much for that moment. I'd like to welcome or recognize my good friend, visionary Peter. Peter goes to everywhere he hears that I am. Peter, you want to stand up? Thank you so much. He's here with his beautiful wife, madam. Thank you. Peter is a good friend of mine. He started to follow me when I was an LPS, one of the deputies. Then he was then an 9th grade student, and we been friends. Everywhere he hears that Chris is going, he will find his way to come. And it was good that one of the questions was about disabled. Having said this, we will take 3-minute remarks from the civil society, and that's going to be done by Lawrence Yale. Thereafter, we will stand and take the national anthem and no closing comment. We will stand and take the national anthem, which is due already, and then we do group photo thereafter. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are grateful to all the presidential candidates for showing up. And it's sad that some presidential candidates think that they have monopoly over the people and cannot show up. And I'd like to stress that the civil society community is a key sector of the governance community in Liberia and in any governance society. So, and there's this myth that civil society, we are agitational, and the government doesn't even want to sit in the room with civil society and is being called. But you need to erase that. Civil society is a critical voice and a crucial part of the governance sector. And what we do is to help the government to ensure that we bridge the trust between the citizens and the government. So if you are going to be president, you have to think civil society as a key component of your governance architecture, so that we are moving the wheels of governance in the country, that it works for the people. If we are running democracy and truly the people are the engine of whatever we do. And I want to say we developed 10 pointers accountability tool. We will be sharing them with you, where civil society is looking at from beneficial ownership, where of course procurement issue is one of the controversial issues in the country. From that, we also have World Economic Crime Code component, which is point 3. You saw us emphasizing that, and then we have other key accountability portions, and we call it the 10 points of accountability that we want to see in the manifesto. If we don't see it in your manifesto, we'll be reaching out to you. But as part of the questions we asked on World Economic Crime Code, I'm not the lead on World Economic Crime Code. Of course, Adam and the other guys are the lead on it. But we have developed something, and one of the presidential hopefully has signed the instrument. If you want the World Economic, and that is Councillor Gonglo, he signed it, and this is how the instrument looks like. It's very simple, but the way we're doing accountability now is not the way we are grateful for the civil society before, but now we are holding you to an account. We have civil society actors that they are monitoring this, and if you become president, will measure you by every word that you've said here, and will follow you to the letter. Eddie and the Nebo family, they are doing the president leaders, and we support them heavily. And the Civil Society Council of Liberia, we are in full support of what we do. So the instruments are here. We want to hold you by not just saying you will support it. If you know that you want to do it, we have the instrument for you to sign. And my colleague, Arman, will kind of pass that over. So I just want to say thanks to the organizers. Thanks so much. It's truly the state of the nation. And we need to kind of emphasize and support it. A round of applause for the State of the Nation team from the True FM family. And to all the journalists, thank you so much for covering it. I know there are lots and lots of things around this and this information. Please fact check all of these things that have been said here. We want to follow them. Clarence, thank you so much. And I will always say, there are more good people in Liberia than bad people. We should refuse to give the bad people the stage. And the stage of Liberia must be given to the good people. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
Okay, so something came to my mind, and these two persons have spoken this to me. And myself and me, it is be seen as being unfair to the candidates. We don't give them 1 minute for party comment, which will be right now. That is, each candidate will have to check on their colleague. Each candidate will have to check on their colleague to stick within the 1 minute time. So, I see Mr. Brian David from being on the other side. So yes, Mr. Abino, please, 1 minute, please, your closing comments.
Thank you very much, and thanks to the organizers for this all-important occasion. Also, I want to thank all of the presidential aspirants here today. Big thank you to the grassroots development movement and our national vice standard bearer and members of our party. We are the number one ticket, we represent number one on the presidential ballot. So I know many people have asked who's number one. In alphabetical order, we are number one. We strongly believe that the Liberia we belong to deserves better. Liberians deserve better. We want to ensure that we can invest in law and order. We want to ensure that we can invest in education for our youth. We want to empower our women, provide them with educational opportunities. We want to ensure that we can eliminate partisanship in government. We want to invest in housing. We want to create an enabling environment where the ordinary people will thrive and live a good quality life. So with our administration, you can rest assured that you will have leaders who will look out for you, who will work for you. And if you give us this opportunity during these elections and you elect us and vote for us, you will have a government of inclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Brown?
My platform is about restoring the nation to God and empowering Liberian people. That means that we are going to empower, I'm going to empower each and every one of you here. A lot of you got a lot of people depending on you. I'm saying I will feed our people. That will take some of the burden that you guys are experiencing off of you in the immediate. More than that, I'm going to make each of you landlords. I'm not saying that I'm saying moving you from tenants to becoming landlords. Then after that, I'm going to move this country into the technology age, because that's where the world is. It is important for you to understand that what distinguishes me from everyone else is the creative dimension to my leadership. I'm talking about doing things for each and every one of you that will transform your lives that the world has not even seen, much less Liberia. With respect to agriculture, I'm talking globalization. And I just want to talk about the money. I'm not interested in loans. I'm not interested in foreign aid. I'm talking private capital.
At the age of 39, I was CEO of Beneficial Life Insurance Company operating in Ivory Coast, Cameroon, and Togo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the 1 minute. I want to thank the organizers of this. No problem. I want to thank my colleagues for being safer. I have a 10-point agenda for better Liberia. Let me say I am a bit different from all of the candidates around the table because to serve in government, I want to test my ideas about good governance, and I passed the test. When the government was not good, I resigned from it. There are not many people in history who have resigned from government. I actually led the president select government before it made corruption a vampire. And so I'm different from those who served it to the end. And so Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. I'm anti-corrupt. No corruption record in history. So I have the credibility to deal with the one impediment that is keeping my brother backwards: corruption. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I thank the organizers of this particular event and all of those who have listened to us. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd like to comment my message. Is a nation that is not built on any foundation. We don't have a solid foundation. That's why I am saying that before we move forward with all these developments, let's get the issue of foundation building an important. Let's build this country on integrity, hard work, respect for the rule of law, accountability. Let's strengthen our institutions. Let's teach ethics in our schools and institutions. When people are changed on the inside, they can do all the development. But when people are desperately dirty and they lack character, I don't care what we do, the country will continue to be behind. So thank you for joining me. I am number 8 on the ballot ticket. If you really want this country to have a foundation of integrity, accountability, vote me, David Kiamu, so that we can give our country the foundation. Thank you. Thank you.
I want to say thank you for the organizer for having us here. My name is Reverend Alexander Ndobakoli. I'm from the Reformers National Congress. We have 13 points to save this nation and reform. We are reformers. One thing I've always said, I learned from Albert Schweitzer. He said, example is not a mean thing. It influences others. Example is the only thing. And we've seen our nation how it has fallen apart. We've not had example. If you look around, people, even young people don't have example. We will bring example to governance and government. We will bring example to wherever we are. We will say, join us. Now, like people will be, once again, we will consider the shining star of Africa, but we live in darkness. The hope of Africa, we are hopeless. We will be that example, that shining star. Join us. Number 9, the striker. I will redeem Liberia. I will scope for Liberia. I will reborn Liberia. The rebirth, the 9 months. So join us. RNC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm Alhaji Sheikh Al-Mustafa Kuyate, number 10 on the ballot. I'm the 10th commandment in this race. And I've come with a clear message. I do not represent myself. I represent an institution that is built on 4 pillars. Reconciliation. We believe that we cannot have a Liberia, an inclusive Liberia, with us all being one people, indivisible, with liberty and justice. That is why we see reconciliation as the first one. We also believe that empowerment is very essential for the movement, for the growth of our country. Thirdly, we believe that accountability is the way forward for governance. That is why today there are some people who are sitting here, when they are asked about questions of past government itself, even if they themselves are good people, but because the wrong people to solve, they have no answer for it. Fourthly, we believe in development. In development, it comes with it includes agriculture, education, national security, healthcare, and you name it. Thank you. We
the Liberia Vice Mayor say, please vote number 10. Vote Sheikh Kuyate. Thank you.
Again, thank you to everybody who was able to show up and listen to what we've been talking about today. I think it's so important that we understand that the past in Liberia has not been good enough. I think it's so important to understand that the past in this country has not been good enough. That's why a lot of Liberian citizens are sleeping in darkness. No good food, no good job, no good roads, no good hospital. We understand that. The president is also not going the way that we want. That's why I'm running for president. So we have to understand that this coming election, we have to vote for the future of Liberia. And the future of Liberia should not be 10 years from now, even 5 years from now. The future of Liberia must start today. And so when people see me and I talk to people, I pray to God that when they see me, they see the future, a brighter future, a better future. That's why I'm running for president. So that I can represent the almost 85% of the people in this country who are under the age of 45. I'm talking directly to them. Our generation will take the responsibility to transform this country. Nobody else is going to fix Liberia for us. Only Liberians can fix Liberia. And I want to represent our generational change to ensure that Liberia is better tomorrow than what we have today. Thank you very much to the organizers. Thank you to the Liberian people.
I want to clarify one thing before I get my closing statement.
1 minute, Chief.
If we want to build a credible future for the Republic of Liberia, then we need to be factual in our doings. Dr. Monica, you define rhetoric. Among other things, having to do with negotiation. We lawyers agree question. In rhetoric, there is nothing about negotiation. Negotiation is of every code. There are 3 components of rhetoric: elaboratory rhetoric, judicial rhetoric, and conscientious rhetoric. It has nothing to do with what they call negotiation. That's our area: international business law, corporate law. Please give the people the proper information. Now, the Liberia Republican Party, number 20. Number 20 on the ballot. And to the Luther against your feet is your choice. The Liberia Republican Party is established on 4 major pillars. 1, rebuilding our relationship with God and our fellow Liberians. Number 2, rebuilding life. Number 3, rebuilding our economy. And number 4, rebuilding our infrastructure. Vote number 20 for a better Liberia. Thank you.
Okay, so now we call Magdalene Sa, co-host, State of the Nation from Four of Thanks. And that will be preceded, the national anthem will come after this one.
Good afternoon to everyone. We want to say thanks so kindly for this program, attending this debate. Thanks to all of the candidates here. We also want to appreciate the media. We say thanks so kindly for coming to cover this event. We want to say thanks to our colleagues, the folks from the civil society organizations and the security people that are all behind them. I want to say thank you. Thanks to the moderator, Chief Karen Jackson. We do appreciate your time and effort. And I was following the Liberia public radio. Like, we have over 1,000 people watching. And I read some of the comments, and everyone is asking for President Weah. We deliberately serve the communication, but we know very well that he was not going to be in attendance. So we hope that most of these organizations that are here today will organize debate. So the other people who are not here today can have the opportunity, maybe they are busy somewhere, so they can have the opportunity. But I can tell you for sure, debate is a centerpiece of democracy, and all of what you've said today have given me more ideas to ask, candidates, even legislative candidates as well, more questions. So I learned a lot about you, and let us do this most often. So please do not, those of you who came today, you will have invitations from other people here to attend debate. Please attend the debate and make clear your manifesto. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's please stand up, rise to take the national anthem. Thereafter, we will go for a photo session, take a photo with the candidates, the organizers. This goes on. Let's take the national anthem. Oh, hail Liberia. So next photo session, please come.
Honorable, how are you?
Candidates, please come for the photo.
All right, that's how we love to wrap up teams from here.
Candidates, please come for the photo.
It's been a very much interactive program here today. Coming to you from the Cinco Palace Hotel where the debate was held, and now it's going to be a photo session. Thank you, Dan. Okay, have been greeted by some of the candidates here behind our little commentary booth here. And I want to say thanks also to RCA, Truth 96.1 FM, and all of the radio stations that relay this program. We've been here since 11:15 Liberian time, and bringing you information of national development. So the photo session here you see there on the screen, the photo session is taking place. I don't know whether they do have lunch yet, but the photo session is taking place. I'm hoping that I will be joined by Alfonso or he's somewhere around, so that we can just have a little chat just before we can call it a day of here. So Liberia Public Radio, we're still here in our commentary booth. We want to see what we can. Okay, Alfonso is online. Let's see what
Thank
we
you so
can
much. The operator within the time,
hear
please,
from
for
a little bit
talking
from
about the hall.
Alfonso. Alfonso, good morning. I hope you are doing
I would like to also
pretty
say
well.
all the 20 presidential candidates were invited.
Yes, they
Are
are
you hearing?
about now. Yeah, hello, Mr. So, are you there? Are you hearing me? Are you getting me?
You're loud and clear. I'm getting you. Are you getting me?
Yes, very loud and clear. It's just that the noise in the
So
hall.
let's get this. Let's get this on. Let's
If you
get
want
this on the
to,
screen.
Yes.
if you want to get a repeat,
Let's get this here
you
and
can
see the
log on
action
to
in video.
Liberia
All right.
Public Radio.
Announcement there from the organizer, Chris.
Spoon TV, three online TV that carry the debate live.
So photo session
Thank
still
you very much.
ongoing. Councillor Gonglo there. Here he stands. Followed by another presidential candidate. So there were so many issues that were spoken about here today. The issue of health, the issue of education, uh, security, and also the issue of drug addiction was also topping the discussion point here as well, Mr. So. We are hoping that the organizers, we can just have a one or two words from the organizers, Mr. Chris Salif, and also okay, let's see whether this is an interview. I think it's just a chat. All right, you watching Liberia Presidential Debate 2023, organized by the Truth FM, the Renaissance Communication Incorporated, Truth 96.1. We are also hoping that we can have a word with Chris as soon as the photo session is over. We're hoping to get one or two words from him. Rather than just bring your chair and you and Chris so that we can have just 2 minutes chat before you can go. So it's been a very much hectic one. Or 3 hours. We started about 11:15 and it's ending almost 2:30, almost two. It's just few minutes after 2 o'clock. So it's been over 2 hours of conversation here today in the fun. So it was very much a fantastic one actually. All right, so we still here, Liberia Public Radio. We trying to
Yeah.
have a word. We have to. We are in a little tech corner here, so let's try
Mm.
to adjust the microphone.
Yeah, I think I really want to get a word from Chris. They did a very excellent job keeping diaspora. Chris, good. I believe it's afternoon time. Good afternoon.
He's not getting. So let me just give him a headphone. Just use a headphone, Chris.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, Chris. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Dan. This is extraordinary, and I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Look, this is Afonso here monitoring from the USA. What an extraordinary job. My apologies. I should have come back to you. I didn't come. So
It is
that
good
we
that
were
you
talking
offer.
we're talking up. But quickly here, I know you had a very long, hectic day. What is the significance of this debate? Three principal, and I know we had a brief discussion in your office. Three principal players did not participate in this debate. It's a hair scratching. People, electorate should be able to get an idea how the vote was going to be going. That did not happen. What went wrong?
So the first thing, these debates were very successful, and we don't want to measure the success of these debates based on the presence or absences of others. No, these debates were very successful, and the candidates are upbeat that they were brought the singular moment in their presidential campaign, one-on-one, face-to-face with one another. Well, I don't know, except that if somebody say if Weah does not come for debate, I will not come, then that means you're showing no difference between you and Mr. Weah. That's how I feel. I thought these people, all the Liberian people, parents, and they needed to come or give an excuse. Maybe I'm out in the fields and canvassing, but to condition your or precondition your appearances at these debates on the fact that whether Mr. Weah will attend or not, I thought it was a disrespect to the Liberian people. And we can't be talking about removing someone, or you can't be talking about removing someone, a one-term president, and then you're doing just exactly what the president is doing. The president has always invaded debate sections, and now you come and say you want to remove him, but yet you are invading the debate and you're saying you are not coming on it because the incumbent that you want to remove is not coming. That was very unfair, and I thought it was a disrespect to Liberian people.
Would the goalpost, the big question now, would the polls or the goalpost be moved? Because part of it is we in the media, it is our obligation to keep the electors informed so that they will vote on substance, on issues, and on priorities. And that's the only perfect venue we have or platform for us to ask these people, let them hear from them directly. That did not happen. What next now? Will the goalpost move with the electorate take that into consideration, those that they are hearing from, or people have long decided way before even the electoral process even came into place?
Well, the debate was on several radio outlets, including your online TV, Liberia Public Radio. As you said, we the media, yes, we are agenda setter. We set the agenda, and then the people listen. They will decide. We can't go to tell them now because these people didn't come. They're not going to be president. But we had to do this one. I mean, Alfonso, it was tough. We had to single-handedly pay for the hall. And imagine if we did all of these things and somebody got invited to come free of charge and did not turn up. Well, those who listen out there or watch on, it is left with them to take the decision. But I think we did what we could do. The successes are equally measured by your presence here, and I saw the number of views on over 1.5 thousand persons on. Spoon was here. We're carrying it live on 96.1 here in Morovia, and then in Nimba 96.9. So the public had a sufficient conduit through which they listened and could decide which way to go during the October 10 election.
Well, look, you had a long day. We're going to find time to talk the aftermath of this, and that's I think you and other folks. I want to say a kudos to all of you for such an enormous sacrifice. That's what we can do. We cannot do more than what you guys have done today. Our job, like you said, to set the stage, have this conversation, and compel these politicians to tell us our people need to vote on policy-oriented issue, not brand name, not this sort of stuff that is going on here, because there are a lot of stake. Chris, thank you so much, and we really enjoy this partnership. We are looking forward to having more of this for the good of our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Alfonso, and you owed me an appearance on State of the Nation. When do we
Absolutely.
do
that? We will talk that.
Okay, thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay,
you so
well,
much,
folks, Mike Dan and the rest of the crew, Darius, and all the other sister network.
Darius was also here.
Yeah, okay. Is Darius there?
Well, Darius has been a whole day on camera, so he's very much exhausted. So
quickly
Alfonso,
here,
that's
because
how we want to call it a day here.
I reached out to Madeline. I reached out to Madeline as well, one of the co-hosts. Hopefully she will make up time for us here, and we're going to have an in-depth discussion here in the diaspora. Hopefully by then you have enough rest here. But quickly, let me just get a reaction. I know a lot of you have been on your feet here today. Who was the real what should I say, go-getter or puncher into this debate? You watched it from start to finish. Who was really pushing their agenda? I didn't hear people going really attacking or going one another, or even to the president. So who you think got it there? Is there any recording that people keeping record to know who won the debate, something like that? Do you know?
I don't think there was any winner because everyone said what they could in their own smothered space that were given to them. So everyone spoke and they talk about the issues that the Liberians people are mainly concerned with, especially the issue of security is one thing that they have been concerned with. And the issue of war crimes court also was talk about. That was just the last point of it before the debate ended. But everyone has to say it. And another concern that some of them were pushing was that those who perpetrated some of the heinous crimes, they are getting older and is justice is been delayed. So as such, it's not good for the society, and it's a need that they be prosecuted as soon as possible. So these are some of the issues they were talking about. If we were to say hardliners, no, they were not really any hardliners yet. Probably it's because of the rules of the debate and so forth. So everyone spoke within their time and within their space and what they could see.
Yeah, I realized everybody were trying to walk a fine line, try to not to take a political risk in terms of attacking or going as specific. But politicians, they are very good at that. They speak in the executory tone. They are getting older, and so when you look into his mind, we know exactly where he's going. Why they were not specific in getting at certain politicians or those who they think they wanted to state powerful. Why you thought they couldn't go that route?
Well, I think not any of them were blunt, like you said, because they were looking at the way voters behave. They were very careful with how they address things, issues. For example, when it came to the issue of war crimes code, some said that my citizen would decide, and others were a bit blunt on it, saying that there's a need that those who perpetrated crimes be prosecuted. So, but some of the issues the way forward, and some of them were not very blunt about it to admit.
So, yeah, and I have a little concern. I know we're going to let you go here. There was no lot of specific in terms of this experience. I didn't hear even the facilitator asking them, for example, how much XY candidate intend to invest into education, into agriculture, even the drug. I heard one of the candidates say, "Going to declare, I will declare war." What are you talking about specifically? Ordinary person, when I hear say you're going to declare war, I'm going to break it down into pieces. What are you saying? How much do you intend to invest? Like in my own state here, 20 million US dollar is being invested into my own state to combat drugs and stuff like that. That's not an easy thing. It's a very costly thing for aspiring to just come to say, "Oh, I'm going to declare war." What war are you talking about? What specific? Why the moderator did not push them to be more specific in their answers instead of just giving us this sort of red meat type of
Well, I think it was just the rule of the debate, and probably the moderators were not they didn't go in depth to see to what specific they were looking for. It was general. It was being generalized. Agriculture. Some I heard one of them saying that they will create marginal farming, a farming system. I heard Councillor Tiawan Gong was talking about that. One some were saying also that agriculture is a barrack of the nation. If the nation does not free itself, it means that we are not free. But a clear vision about it was not actually given. When looking at the way they spoke, and it seems to me that the very clear picture. They talk about investment in investing into the agriculture, but not in depth as to how much specific that will be that will be put into the agriculture
They could,
programs
yeah,
in
because
Liberia.
this is one of the strong thing on the agenda here, and there could be the strength of former President Ambassador Joseph Boyka. We were in Chris' office, and he said when the president is not attending, his too was not going to attend. I see that as a missed opportunity because this is where you could have made or he could have made his argument to the Liberian people to say, "Hey, This is why I want to be president. And we all guess this could have been his strength. That did not happen. Okay, what, Mike? I know you've been
Okay.
having
Yes. We our time in the hotel here is over, so
yes.
we have to
Okay,
get out
so
of the
let's leave it
hotel
there.
as
I
soon
want
as
to expand
possible.
on yes, I want to expand
All
on
right.
it. Thank you so much, and I'm going to be wrapping up here.
Okay,
For my
we just we want to turn over to you to continue the rest of the broadcast. Thank you so much,
okay.
Mr. So.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, folks, I'm Alfonso Ziensot of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. Decision date in Liberia, October 10th. So that's how we're going to leave it here. Okay, it's good to be back here after a little while from inside the West African state of the Republic of Liberia. 27 days to go. A consequential presidential and legislative elections is expected to take place in the West African state of the Republic of Liberia. This is its executive mansion. That is the official to residence of the presidency of the Republic of Liberia, built 1961, but officially completed 64, became the official residence of the presidency of the Republic of Liberia. The race is overcrowded, we can say. It's hard to determine who's going to get to the finishing line, but this conversation will continue in a very long while. By the 11th or day beyond, after October, we'll get a clear-cut idea as who will be the next president of the Republic of Liberia. I am Alfonso Z, and so good to be back here at the New England Bureau Desk. I will be on this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to take a profile, analysts, pundits. You, as a viewers or listeners, are you going to decide what it means for presidential hope or presidential experiment? So stay away for debate. How do we address this issue? So a lot of questions lingering without answer. We have no idea how much they intend to invest into quality, not just education, but quality education, agriculture, infrastructure, even the drugs issue. How do they intend? What type of police chief or minister of justice? But I did hear one candidate saying he, if elected, he will stay away from interfering within the judiciary system of the Republic of Liberia if elected as president. That's the politician talk. We'll continue to have this conversation. Fair, balanced, proportional. Give everybody the opportunity to have this national conversation. We want to thank the True FM Communications and all of the facilitators and those who package this process, allowing us to form part of the process as well. I am Alfonso Z, and so I want to thank all of our viewers, our listeners, your comments, your tweet. But join us this evening. We're going to have in-depth conversations with analysts standing by across country. And hopefully we are making arrangement to have one of the co-host moderator, Madeline. They all did it extremely well. I know how they work hard to get to this point and maybe to get an insight from them as well. Have a pleasant day, and I will see you this evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is Liberia Public Radio. Be the first to know. Fair, balance, and no censor. Bye-bye.